Here we go.
You really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Hey, motherfucker, what you like to do?
Oh, I don't know. Play chess. Screw.
Well, let's play chess.
They give off to Jonathan Taylor. Jump cutting his way close to the goal line. He's in there. Touchdown. I-N-D-Y. Jonathan Taylor.
Wheeler finds Quan from the logo.
Here's Halliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it. Hits it.
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, happy Tuesday to everybody. Let's go. I know you're about set to get off of work. Maybe you're already on the outbound and on your way home. Just make sure you keep it here the entire day. We have stuff to give away. Matter of fact, not just today, but the entirety of the week. And I mean, damn good stuff. Allow me to explain coming up here in a couple of minutes. We have a busy week for you as well. The golf outing presented by Franciscan Health and Legends in Franklin is coming up on Thursday. The jumper is going to be tight. I'm going to get a little work in later on tonight at Center Grove. But down at the Legends, I know Carlton and the gang is going to have the goal out there. I'm going to have the music rocking. We're going to have one hell of a good time. And yeah, it's funny. I've mentioned this before. When I do remotes and then go play, I always, like, let's just say, for example, if I have a couple and maybe roll out to play, I should probably do that in the mornings too. I think I play better if I have a couple. If I get a little more loose. Weird. So the jumper is going to be pure, as we'll have some drinks certainly coming up on Thursday down at Legends. Food and drink and fun. Hey, make sure you get your health checked too. They're going to have all those options for you because I want you guys around. I want you guys around for the long haul. If I have to be around, I want you guys to be around. Yeah, one of these days we'll all end up together and at the same yacht rock concert. That big yacht rock concert in the sky, one of these. But until now, I want you guys around as long as you can be around. So let's check yourself before you wreck yourself. How about that? Thursday, our friends from Franciscan Health will be out there too at Legends. It is going to be a fantastic time. I'm incredibly excited. I go out to Bronze Fun Time Campers earlier today. Austin and I took Devin, the engineer, and my good friend Doug Wiggin, who is kind of a pseudo-engineer / producer. He's the figurer out of things because, you know, a lot of this stuff's over my head. We have the most incredible camper ready to go for all of us the weekend of the 500 and certainly the JMV takeover the night before the 500. It's incredible. Incredible. And it was great last year in the Coke lot. The way we got our feet wet in the Coke lot, it was great, but we needed a little bit more accessibility. So we left that up to Doug Bowles, the Speedway president, and the guy that presides over IndyCar. So he got us a spot in lot number 4, just outside the 4th turn. So more accessibility for all of you. There is zero reason as to why you guys should not be out there. Plus, here's something else. DJ Skids is bringing the equipment, so we're going to have the live DJ work going over the air on B105.7. And if you're asking me, did you clear that with any of your bosses? Absolutely stinking not. No. I'm somebody, I am somebody, I will, if they don't like it, they can tell me about it after it takes place. Would you guys agree? I'll take the heat after it takes place, but I want it to happen first. I don't want anybody to get in the way of happenings. So, no, I haven't told anybody. Well, at least anybody in the building. You guys all know, but I don't think anybody else in the building listens too much, so I'm all good. I have not told anybody. It's going to be outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. DJ Skids phoned me today and said, yeah, I'll be out there. We'll take requests. Do a little mixing, a little fun like we normally do. It's going to be great. And Braun's Fun Time Campers, and a shout out to Austin. That's out on Pendleton Pike. I was out there a little bit earlier today, and they're having a good year so far. Add to that, if you've never had the opportunity, you can buy, you can rent, but these things are awesome. Lot 4 with Bronze and Austin Braun. Shout out. If you see Austin, if you know Austin, tell him that we're talking him up right here, too. It is going to be a fantastic time. More on that coming up. All right. Is it a case of sour grapes? Or, as I like to put it, am I just butthurt? I can't lie. Sometimes I'm a little chafed. Sometimes I'm a little butthurt. And sometimes that grows into me being massively butthurt. Or a package of sour grapes. That's how I feel about watching the NBA postseason. And the reason I feel this way is because the Pacers aren't involved in the NBA postseason. Because what we got a year ago with the Pacers and the NBA postseason was glorious up until the absolute bitter end. So, yeah, I should be butthurt. I should feel that way. And, in fact, I do. So, allow me, and others will disagree, and I think even like Kristen Airy and I go back and forth on this all the time. He thinks the postseason's been really fun so far. And what I want to make sure that it's perfectly clear, I love basketball and the NBA product. I don't care what others think. I know a lot of people want to downplay it. A lot of people say, I'm not watching this. It's not basketball. Your ass, it is basketball. It is the highest level of basketball with some of the world, the globe's most athletic dudes. It's incredible to watch. And if you really, truly enjoy basketball, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're a butthurt jackass, then you don't. So this is not a shot at all at the NBA, but the back and forth Chris and I will occasionally have is he thinks the postseason so far is fun to watch and enjoyable. I think it sucks. I think that it sucks. And maybe I'm just highlighting the suckery of it, and that's probably true. The whole Kevin Durant saga. Why in this world would anybody else want this guy? I know he's talented. He's a Hall of Famer. But let's face it, he really hasn't been good to the tune of results that everybody around here is looking for, or other teams that are looking for, since he was riding shotgun and then got injured at Golden State with Steph Curry. I mean, what else hasn't been a disaster? Brooklyn's been a disaster. Phoenix been a disaster. Houston's been a disaster. You got to put up with the moods. I don't want to put up with the moods. I don't want moody dude. You cannot have a moody-ass dude like that on the same team with Obi. Obi is way too jovial. Tyrese Halliburton is way too fun-loving. You can't have Mr. Moody on the same team. So those of you that are telling me, well, you know, next year maybe you should look into Kevin Durant because he's probably not going to be in Houston. I know he's a Hall of Famer. I know he's a walking bucket, but I don't want him anywhere near the squad that I hope can replicate, outside of the injuries and the losing in 7 games, what they did a year ago in the NBA postseason. Nowhere near him. I don't think that's short-sighted thinking either. I think that's logical thinking. Where's this dude going to be happy? Who's going to be able to make him happy? You have to find guys that are happy. You have to find guys that have a reason every single day to be happy. I'm going to give Tyrese Halliburton full credit. He's been happy, and if there's anybody that has been given by circumstances an opportunity to be unhappy, to be chafed, to be upset, disappointed, a little angry, and maybe he is, but I've never seen it. I love that. He's gone through the Achilles. He's gone through shingles every single turn. It's like all these shots that he made. You know, the layup against the Bucks in the first round. The shot against the Cavaliers that basically put him to bed in game 2. the Knicks and the bounce. I mean, hell, they still had to survive, after celebrating and the whole choke thing, which I loved. They still had to survive that in overtime, and they did. But if anybody has the right to be upset or not happy, it's Tyrese Halliburton. You can't tell. I love it. Seriously, I don't know if I ever want to see these dudes not together. I love these dudes. And I said this last year. That was the most enjoyable team I've ever seen. Win, lose, or draw. They were incredibly enjoyable. And I know that you can't always or rarely can you recreate history like that. And I'm sure it's going to be massively different. But you can't add, you can't have, the turd and the punch bowl has to be on somebody else's squad. It's got to be with somebody else, even if he can make a jumper consistently. If he's a walking bucket, you got to find a better place for the walking bucket. Because that, along with the money, quote, ain't here. So we'll squash that one right away. Just personality-wise, I like what you got a fun-loving group. There is zero way a curmudgeon can play anywhere near the floor with Halliburton and Obi Toppin. They're way too much fun. Way too much of a good time. Thought right there. But anyway, back to the point I was trying to make. Without the Pacers, the postseason was going to be awful anyway, considering what took place a year ago. But let's face it, if you watch some of these games, they've been awful. There's been zero reason really at all to watch OKC and what they did to Phoenix. I agreed with Devin Booker and the bullcrap whistle, but other than that, there was zero resistance, and he knew how that was going to go down. You got the, 60-win, 1 seed in the East that is vowing to step up and be more like it should. That's embarrassing. Now, that probably is the only thing this postseason so far has going for it, is that. Because I love the way that Detroit is looking right now. That makes me happy. It makes me happy. And I've said this before. There's no championship team out there that is going to have as a part of the starting lineup Tobias Harris. None. Zero. He's just kind of out there running up and down the floor, and he'll get his 12 to 15 to 16, and they'll be of no consequence. And then big moments, the ball will be reversed to him. Cade Cunningham will have to pass it away. And then you're going to look at LeVert, and you're going to go, well, this guy's going to probably brick it, so let's throw it someplace else. Oh, there's Tobias Harris. And, yeah, you're going to know the outcome. And Duran has been depantsed in this series so far against Orlando. Did you see him get dunked on last night? He got dunked on and then fell down. Can you? And believe me, I don't know if I just feel this way because it's almost like a reversal of what I had to put up with when Miles Turner was a member of the Pacer team. Like, I had to put up with this stuff too. I love that last night. But the game itself sucked. I mean, really, the brand of basketball stinks. I mentioned yesterday what you saw on Sunday with the Cavaliers and the Raptors. It was awful. It was awful to watch. And then you had the guys on ESPN, the Inside the NBA guys, would agree. It was awful. So this postseason needs to step up. I just don't think this postseason can step up without the presence of the Pacers were so incredibly enjoyable. Even in losing, you talk about going out. I'm saying, if I go out, that's how I want to go out. That's how you want to go out. You want to go out just giving your absolute stinking all. I love that. So this postseason, and I know that I have obviously the local lean, or the local bias, if you will. That's fine. I'll take the heat for the local bias. But this whole thing sucks. Think about this. You got a 1v8, and you've got the 1 on the ropes, but 94-80. Did you guys watch that last night? That was the most boring crap of all time. Can anybody make a shot? And I like Desmond Bain a great deal. I like the fact that his former teammates are watching him courtside. That's pretty funny, too. Now, I like Desmond Bain. I like Goga. Goga, actually, if there is one redeeming quality from Orlando, Goga, as the backup big, is playing really well. But, yeah, the basketball brand stinks. You watched OKC and Phoenix put up 131 and 122 last night, and that was terrible. The Blazers and the Spurs been awful so far. Maybe give a nod to the Hawks and the Knicks because it's tied at 2-2, and same two teams coming up later on tonight in round number 1. But we all know where the blame is going on this. It's not going to go in the right place. It should go on James Dolan for making the decision, and then ultimately the players for not getting it done. But this is going to be a Mike Brown problem. I like Mike Brown a great deal, but you go from hardcore, hard-ass, red-ass dude to Mr. Nice Guy, and you can see where that was probably going to go. And it has. I really can't embrace, can I, the Celtics and the Sixers either? So, I have no place else to go. I'm like Richard Gere in An Officer and a Gentleman. I just got nowhere else to go. True story. It is incredibly boring without the Pacers, which leads me to this. And I know that I have made this point, and Chad Buchanan joins the show tomorrow, and he's not going to want to hear any of this, and I agree. But I've made the point as a conspiracy theorist here about how on Mother's Day at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the Pacers are massively going to get the screw job. The screws are going to be to them. I'm going to tell you what. The NBA needs the Pacers. The NBA needs that brand of basketball. The NBA needs that up and down, compelling brand, fun-loving brand, now more than ever. Let's face it, too. OKC as a champion, and they'll probably be that again this year. They become boring. They're boring. OKC's boring. The Pacers bring a fun-loving, up-and-down brand that there is nothing close to it. There's nothing. You're going to give me Atlanta? Sorry, no. Remember when all the clowns tried to make Charlotte and LaMelo Ball? Somebody with LaMelo Ball is on it, for goodness sake. Well, yeah, Charlotte has the opportunity to be the Pacers of a year ago. Yeah, they're not the excrement on the shoe that stepped into the dog poo of the Pacers of a year ago. Seriously, it's a joke. So, again, this postseason minus the blue and gold is stratospherically boring. The NBA needs the Pacers. So if I were the NBA and the fix was on, as the conspiracy theorist around me, and sometimes even me, like to believe, I'd be fixing it for the Pacers. You need the Pacers. Last year was great. Every single round of basketball. Every single it was fun as hell to watch. You knew you were going to get some fun all the way through 7 games. This product sucks. Why does it suck? Without the Pacers. So NBA, if indeed you're good with the fix, if the conspiracy theorists out there, including myself, happen to be accurate about this, maybe the fix should be on in the form of a reward for the Pacers. Hey, thank you very much. Oh, now we see what was a year ago. We see how important that was because the rest of this stinks. And this postseason has stank, and stunk. I realize it's still the first round. But who would happen to disagree with me? Not too many. That conversation can be had. And I know that there's a revitalization process going on with the Lakers, and I'm a big fan of Jake LaRavia. You know that. Man, the Houston thing's so that's what happens when you, like Fred VanVleet, he should be like the second highest paid player in the NBA right next to Tyrese Halliburton. If he's that important. So you look like that without Fred VanVleet? What are you, Wichita State? That's how you look? What are you, Rockford High School? So that's all it takes, huh? Anyway, full bore conversation. Yeah, the reversal, so to speak, right here. On this Tuesday, I thought I need to pull a reversal. And the reversal is the NBA needs the Pacers. And we see that now more than ever, don't we? And believe me, it's only going to grow. We're all going to take, this is the springboard for the mantra in this postseason, the NBA. We need the Pacers. And it's more than just us. Because this thing is incredibly boring. All right, that discussion is at 239-1070 if you so desire. Greg Rakestraw at the bottom of the hour. We're going to talk to Greg about a number of things. Caden Curry is one because I think Greg did probably about a zillion of his games when he was in high school. We'll talk Caden Curry with Greg. We'll talk shot clock with Greg. We'll talk Stifficat with Greg coming up here at the bottom of the hour. Rhett Lewis, the former Hoosier NFL. Is he with ESPN and NFL Network? What is he? I can't even remember.
So he is NFL Network.
NFL Network with Rhett. Here's what I want to ask Rhett. Which former Hoosier landed, and I know it's easy to say, well, Mendoza or Omar Cooper Jr., which former Hoosier and even the undrafted free agents, who landed in a spot most beneficial for them? What is going to be most opportunistic? Rhett's going to join us a little bit later on. And Solak is back. Solak was really good last week. It was weird, though. Did you see the Solak video he shot from his backyard that needed Miss M's Home and Garden and Sundown Gardens and Scott Levy about as bad as anybody? He had like bare spots going on. I think he had a little greenhouse going on. He needs some Miss M's Home and Garden. Solak is back a little bit later on in this show. I mentioned what we have to give away. Airplane, May the 15th. You've got the screening of the 1980 comedic classic, the feature film. And Robert Hayes and Julie Haggerty will be here in town as a part of that. Got tickets for you to go to that. Now, you can get your chance to win a little bit later on. Hey, by the way, too, the whole Diego Pavia stuff, 3-year deal with the Ravens. This is like red ass and red ass. You know, one, Eric DaCosta, the red ass general manager, and Diego Pavia, the red ass quarterback who didn't win the Heisman. That's like pissy equaling pissy right there. That's good. Pavia and DaCosta are perfect together. I don't know if Pavia ever plays a snap, but they're perfect. What else we got here, too? Oh, yeah. Got Sancio Grand Prix tickets to give away coming up a little bit later on. A little rookie orientation going on at IMS today. That's a feel good for everybody, too. And Morgan Wallen tickets. You guys went absolutely crazy over that. If you want to go see Morgan Wallen, that is a week from Friday, Lucas Oil Stadium. Here's your spot. Here's your place. You know, that's a big show, too. And for Live Nation to say, we want to make sure we give people an opportunity on your show. That is the value of the show right here. Putting those tickets to give away all week long. Morgan Wallen. And I don't even know a note of a song of Morgan Wallen. I know this. It's popular, and you guys love it, and we're going to give you a chance to win those tickets coming up a little bit later on as well. So a busy show for you later on this week. I mentioned Legends in Franklin, the fan golf outing. I'm shooting hoop. You're playing golf. You're eating and drinking. We're having a great time with Franciscan Health coming up on Thursday. The shop, we're in Carmel with BK and the Brick Shirt House. We've got 500 shirts galore. They have Connor Daly signing autographs strategically when I'm done. We're going to work him in when you're done. So I get you there, and then Connor Daly closes the deal. I completely get. That's so savvy. That's on Friday, Rainsline Road in Carmel, the shop. And indeed, the shop has 2026 JMV Sucks Carb Day apparel. Not until Carb Day, though. But 2026 is going to be outstanding. You're going to love it. And I'll see you up there coming up on Friday. All right, quick break. We'll come back. To stream the app, HD Radio, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Thank you all for joining us with the Greg Rakestraw coming up here at the bottom of the hour. The Hensley Legal Group Command Center is where we are live today. It happens. Hire Hensley. AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Stay right there. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Johnny, false start on the host right here. I got to look up at the board. I didn't see it. There was still something left. There was a breath. So I jump in right here. And the reason why I jump in, I'm excited for you. I'm excited about the opportunity you have right now to never have to worry about painting your house again, because what a massive pain that is. With Rhino Shield, you get a tremendous 25-year transferable warranty. And Rhino Shield is ceramic coating specifically formulated for this climate. And you're getting a load of it today, going back to last night with the storms in the area, right? You know how this climate rolls. You know that this 25-year transferable warranty is important. You know to go with Rhino Shield. And now is the time at 888 Rhino 41. You mentioned my name. Say JMV sent me. 15% off the regular price right now. Can you believe it? Rhino Shield on your home. Commercial or residential, it works. 888 Rhino 41. Mention my name. 15% off the regular price. Residential and commercial, it is Rhino Shield. RhinoShieldIN.com. Don't paint, no vinyl. Go Rhino and never paint your house again. That's Rhino Shield.
The Ride with JMV.
I got nowhere else to go.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
The Color of Money, the 86 film right here. Never seen that, James?
I have not.
Tom
no.
Cruise shooting pool. Dancing around to the song Werewolves of London is pretty cool, though. A little Zevon classic right there.
I'll have to check it out.
His hair was perfect. You got to see that video. Tyler Fox chimes in. Let's be honest, JMV. The NBA playoffs versus the regular season, two separate entities, and the regular season sucks. No butthurt jackass here. Just honest. I'm not mad at the NBA playoffs, though. I happen to think the postseason so far in the NBA sucks. So does that qualify me as a butthurt jackass? And believe me, I love the NBA. I love hoop in general, and I know that the length of the season and all the games can wear you out. And that is why you normally are able to lean on the postseason. But without the Pacers, let's face it, there's nothing to lean on. This first round stuff so far has been terrible. And I know that's with an 8 over a 1. An 8 having the 1 on the ropes. That's the only redeeming quality is that it's the toilet. And the toilet. And you saw Duran get posterized, which is hilarious. You got a team that's trying to win as a 1 seed with Tobias Harris in the starting lineup. That's never going to work. Never. That is the only quality so far in the first round. As I mentioned, without the Pacers, this postseason is nothing. So, NBA, if you're going to fix the NBA draft lottery, if there's a conspiracy theory, you better lean that toward the Pacers because clearly you need the blue and gold as we witnessed a year ago. Andy Moore, Automotive Group Hotline. His name is Greg Rakestraw, who joins us now. Hello, Greg.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Greg, Caden Curry. How many games did you call of Caden Curry, high school-wise?
A pretty fair amount. I would say probably in the neighborhood of 10 to 15, especially kind of more early in his career, his sophomore year. And there is one specific, there's really two specific plays I think of when I think about broadcasting games involving Caden. The first one, I think this is his sophomore year. I want to say it's the semi-state against Ben Davis. Maybe it's a regular season game. But he lines up, and at Center Grove, one of my favorite, if not my favorite, kind of local stadium, because it's completely enclosed and being on top of the hill. Well, they've got this great staircase with which, you can shoot, and we get a true all-22 shot from behind the end zone when we are doing a game at Center Grove. And he lines up over the center. He played defensive tackle for a good chunk of his high school career. And he makes a play on the far sideline, 27 yards away, for a 2-yard gain against a running back. And not some chump team. We're talking about Ben Davis. He usually has a college-level running back on their program, if not multiples of them, every year. And the kid that's 6'5" and 260 makes the play, again, gets off the block of the center, gets past the tackle, gets past a running back or a wide receiver or a tight end. I just laughed when I realized who that was that made that tackle all the way across the way. Then, as a lot of teams do, and I forget whether this is his junior year or his senior year, a lot of teams will bring in their offensive linemen or their defensive linemen as part of their jumbo package for extra blockers. Well, Center Grove puts him in that wing position, and then they throw the ball to him in the end zone, and the dude makes a one-handed catch. And this is a defensive end or a defensive tackle. Now, again, it helps that he was a baseball player all throughout high school as well, and a multi-sport kid. But you would just see him make plays and beat double teams or triple teams on a regular basis in high school. So I am pumped about the idea that I got to call his games in high school. I get to call some of his games this preseason as well at an NFL level. So very much happy with that pick.
That's Greg Rakestraw on the Andy Moore Automotive Group Hotline. I admit I'm biased. I want to see the kid do well. I love the fact his head coach is a friend of mine. I like him a great deal. That's the Hall of Famer, Eric Moore, and the program they put together. My daughter is at Center Grove. I love all of that. I love the local flavor he provides. Now, to me, he'll stick to it. He'll show exactly what he has done with his patience and work ethic to get where he ultimately wants to go. How would you counter the argument, however, with so many out there suggesting that, well, defensively at Ohio State, he didn't start until he was a senior. He did wait, and I give patience a virtue on this and a thumbs up. But others suggest, he's around guys like Reese and Styles and Downs and McDonald, and that led to the 11 sacks and the nature of the type of senior season he had. I think that's just him in a nutshell, but do you give any credence to those that suggest, well, he also had a lot of really good individual defensive talent around him?
And I would say the reason that he had a lot of good individual defensive talent around him is the reason he didn't play a lot till his senior year. And good on the kid for sticking around. And again, just because you are a great high school player does not mean you are going to translate into being a not just a great player, but basically a guy that can stick on an NFL roster. But I have seen enough guys in high school in this area to become NFL players where I think I got a pretty good eye as to what you can do and what translates from Friday to Saturday to Sunday, and I think he is a long-time NFL player. Is he going to be a star in the National Football League? I don't know. But do I think he's a guy that gets multiple contracts in the National Football League? I absolutely believe that to be the case.
What do you think about the Colts draft altogether, just outside of the local prospect and certainly Caden Curry? What do you think about the work that Chris Ballard and company did with this team, Greg?
I think I wouldn't say they answered every question. The pass rush is still going to be a question for this football team. But, we said this can be a pretty simple draft. Go out and get the best defensive players available. And more often than not, they did that. They grabbed a third-day wide receiver. They grabbed a third-day running back, went for pass rush on the third day when they couldn't get the guys they wanted in terms of, round 2 or round 3. Traded back, but still got a guy they liked, and Allen, I think, is a day one starter. I'm not so sure that Betcher isn't a starter right there with him. And the thing that I have said that you got to look at in terms of not just this draft class, but last draft class, there's probably a couple of guys that they feel that were draft picks last year are going to be starters this year in terms of Wally and Wohler, who never saw the field because of injury last season. And so you kind of got to keep that in mind as well. So I think you're going to grade on a curve to some degree because you have a first-round pick, and obviously that first-round pick is half of what you gave up for Sauce Gardner or a third of what you gave up for Sauce if you throw A.D. Mitchell in there. But I thought, given the circumstances, pretty solid.
So Greg Rakestraw is on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline right here. A couple of things high school-wise for you to lob in. One is the coaching carousel in high school basketball. That go according to how you thought it was going to go. I know what happens like this every year. I don't know if it was more profound this year than it has been in most recent seasons, off-season wise in high school basketball. But what do you think about some of the new faces and new places?
Well, Trent Moorhead was the person I kind of had to dance around.
Yeah.
That I knew was interviewing at Center Grove that got the job because his dad's a very good friend of mine and somebody I work with on a regular basis, so I had a little inside information there. He did a great job at Hauser. He is a dynamic personality, and since we are throwing flowers at Eric Moore, I've told him, I've told his dad, and I'll say it publicly, kid, go hang around Eric Moore. Go find out what he did to build a successful program at Center Grove. Try to translate what you can to basketball and learn from him. Is the advice I have given him in multiple times since I knew he got the job. Happy for Luke Meredith to go back to Greenfield Central after taking a year off. We can joke about it being, and again, you'll get this reference, like Bobby Ewing on Dallas, steps out of the shower one day. That season didn't happen. And so, Luke realized, what? I'm a basketball coach. This is what I do. And so for him to be able to go back and have kind of the C's part in that, for him to work out for him, I was very happy with that. But and how about this? And again, this is not exactly in our listening area. I think this is kind of cool. I'm not sure if you've seen this or not. Scott Combs has been a college coach for a long time. He's going to go home and be the head basketball coach at Paoli. How cool is that? They lost Dusty Cole to go over to North Davies after Brent Dalrymple retired. And for Paoli to land a guy, I wouldn't say a prodigal son returning, but a guy that spent 15, 20 years as a college assistant coach or head coach, to go back and be your alma mater's high school coach, I think that's pretty cool.
Combs and Sibbett, the tandem back in the day for the Rams, correct?
and my age, that we are the same age, and I really enjoyed. I love getting to go to the place that you call home spiritually, in the Wabash Valley in Indiana State. But I got to do the Indiana State Ball State game right before Thanksgiving. And for me and Matt Wren and Scott Combs to sit there and have a conversation before the game, that was just way more Southern Indiana awesomeness than you should ever have. So I've gotten to know Scott a little bit over the years, and I'm happy for the folks in Paoli, and hopefully it works out very well for everybody involved.
Well, and I mentioned that duo too, because one of the more memorable things for me is when they played Chicago Westinghouse.
Yep, absolutely.
When they were seniors, I believe, did they not at Paoli?
And Damian Dantzler was on that Westinghouse team that played at U of L, correct?
Yeah,
I remember
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was one hell of a team right there with both Sibbett and Combs and Dalrymple. By the way, you referenced him as he stepped away for the North Davies program. Just a job well done for so many years. That much like, to me, Bar Reeve, they're very similar in places where I don't know, and you saw this in Dalrymple, and you saw this with Howington staying at Bar Reeve. I don't know why you would want to leave, because those are plum coaching jobs, even if they are very small communities.
The only reason you would leave would be that the way it is geographically lined up, that only one of Lagodi, Bar Reeve, Orleans, or North Davies are getting out of a sectional.
Yeah.
That's the only reason you would leave in terms of available talent, community support, facilities. Give a darn factor, you're not leaving that job.
That's Greg Rakestraw with us. The shot clock situation, how's this thing going to go?
So, again, this is going to go to a vote, and I think it's going to happen at some point in time early next week, if not Monday. And, again, I don't know that there is this huge need in the game for us to add shot clocks. We are talking about a possessions you can count on one hand during a game that I think are affected by not having a shot clock. At the same time, most of the reasons that are given as to not have a shot clock is the expense for smaller schools to install them and to hire another worker during a game to be able to operate them. If there is one basketball scenario, I say, all right, this is where I acknowledge I think this helps. You can probably wait a little bit later in the game to foul if you know you're going to get guaranteed possessions back because of the shot clock. But I think most of the opposition to it, from an administrative standpoint, is not because of what it might do to somebody's basketball strategy, but what it might do to somebody's athletic budget.
It's Greg Rakestraw on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Hey, quickly, I know I got to run here, James, but how are they going to end up, or how are they moving forward to try to handle the trickle-down NIL thing that's going on high school-wise?
There is some conversation about that. I have always thought that Indiana would be the last to adopt that. And again, I'm friends with Paul Neidig, with the commissioner. We don't just work together. I have a lot of respect for the man and genuinely like him. And one of the things I have heard him say, and I can hear his voice, is saying, hey, I have to make sure that we are enabling and enacting legislation just as much for the kid on the end of the bench as we are for the star player. And if you do something that includes or involves NIL for the top 0.1%, there can be a detrimental effect on others, other teams, other parts of the state, et cetera. So I'm okay with considering things and taking things under advisement. I think this state's going to be very slow to act on it. I'll put it that way.
It's Greg Rakestraw on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, getting into the month of May, where he is going to be very active, much like many of us will out at IMS. Greg, we appreciate it, and maybe we'll talk with you coming up on Saturday night.
I'm actually working early on Saturday night, which means that instead of getting into the car after my game and directly calling Indiana Sports Talk, and that's sucking up all my time before I get home, I'll be calling you as I leave Riverview Arena at Innovation Mile. I am on the call of Ball State's national quarterfinal for ESPN Plus in men's volleyball. And so, maybe something from the Top Gun soundtrack might be what I request when I call the show in the 8 o'clock hour on Saturday night.
Playing with the boys on the All Request Saturday night. Logins. Thanks, Greg.
See you, buddy.
Greg Rakestraw of the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Rhett Lewis still to come of the NFL Network. And Ben Solak is back from ESPN. Draft conversations, both local and national, with both coming up too, and tickets to give away, including the Grand Prix, including Morgan Wallen, including Airplane, and the screening with the stars of the 80 Classic. That and more coming up. AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Stay right there or motivate yourself at 317-239-1070. On the text line or the phones, you can do that on this Tuesday with 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Hey, John here for GLP-1 weight loss injections in Indianapolis, and that place where you got to go. You got that right. Premier Weight Loss, the 2 Indy area locations, North Side on North Meridian, and you can find that location in Fishers. The numbers here, 317-643-4444 or 317-567-9100. That's PWLindy.com. Why? Because it works. You get started right now on your very own weight loss path, and you will be good to go by the summertime, feeling better, looking better, and being more healthy. I don't know what the reason might be. Doesn't really matter. But the motivation and getting it done and getting started at Premier Weight Loss, that's where I want you to go. Your journey begins with Thomas, Samantha, and Lauren and the gang at Premier Weight Loss. Also, you can ask about the whole cosmetic treatments that they have, from Botox to skin tightening. You can also do the electronic toning machines that they have. It works, and you're going to find it all at Premier Weight Loss. Give them a call. Tell them I sent you. Get started on your very own weight loss journey today. 317-643-4444 online. That's PWLindy.com.
The Ride with JMV.
If peeing your pants is cool, consider me Miles Davis.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Text line this thing up at 317-239-1070. Sancio Grand Prix tickets. We'll do number 30 on the text line. Let's see this thing fill up like we did yesterday, too. Well done. 317-239-1070 right now. Sancio Grand Prix. Get going. Hey, this reminder, I know Evan could not stay. Cluster Truck is here, and I did want to tell you and reemphasize 20% of the sales going to the IU Simon Cancer Center. That is for the Nate Spangle Burger, the Connor Daly Burger, and the Kevin Bowen Burger. The Kevin Bowen Burger. We'll see Connor Daly with us coming up on Friday, by the way. Clustertruck.com. And those are also going to be involved in the Burger Bash. Shout out to Evan. We'll remind folks of that again. Great night to just get Cluster Truck. Not worry about it. Clustertruck.com. Great month of May coming up with that. I got to see it. Listen, the text line's got to be more active than that. Come on. That text line effort so far sucked as bad as the NBA postseason round number 1. Come on. Don't let me down. Do not let me down. Saw this a little bit earlier, and this brings back incredibly awful memories. Because the Magic on the verge of bouncing the toilet, and I love it. And you should too. Magic forward Franz Wagner diagnosed with the dreaded right calf strain. Now, that used to mean, oh, yeah, he'll be okay, rub a little dirt on it. But I think we all know the calf strain, where it has led. We know where it's led around here. We know where it has led with others. The dreaded calf strain. It says I may be now more worried about the calf strain than I am nearly anything. Seriously. Because it's almost like that is the most common precursor to the ultimate. The Achilles tear or rupture. Right? That's kind of what it is. Like that first step. His availability for Game 5 against the Pistons, that's coming up on Wednesday, is uncertain. The calf strain. Do you ever think we'd be talking about a calf strain in those terms? By the way, too, I think we should almost give these tickets away to anybody that writes Grand Prix down. I love that. I think I love that. Rhett Lewis still to come, and Solak is back from ESPN. He's going to join us coming up in a couple of minutes. Now, and more on calf strains. I had a calf strain last summer, too. I immediately went to the boot. Quick break. We'll come back. Don't go anywhere. More tickets on the way, including for Airplane, the screening with the stars of the 1980 Classic, and Morgan Wallen tickets a little bit later on, too. All right. The Hensley Legal Group Command Center. It happens. Hire Hensley. Brand new to the show. Thank you guys very much for that. And the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Hour 2 coming at you next. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Hey, John here for Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. 25-year transferable warranty. The ceramic coating of Rhino Shield in nearly every single color imaginable. Residential or commercial. Seriously, a pain to repaint. Don't do it. Do this thing once with Rhino Shield. You do it and you forget it. And right now you can take full advantage. You mentioned my name. Say JMV sent me at 888 Rhino 41. You're going to get 15% off the regular price. Guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield for your home. 15% off regular price right now. Mention my name when you call 888 Rhino 41. That's rhinoshieldin.com. Residential and commercial. Don't paint, no vinyl. Go Rhino and never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
The Ride with JMV.
Awesome! Totally awesome! All right, Hamilton.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Solak is not answering his phone right now. Son of a gun. I was going to get you to go, back in, Solak. Come up with a song for Solak. There's zero ways Solak would get any of that, too. He got 3 NBA. I know I completely downplayed the NBA first round postseason so far, but I think it's rightly so. And what he did I'm doing it because we're all lost. The enthusiasm is gone, not just for us around here, but for the NBA without the Pacers. The Pacers are necessary. What they provided last year is most certainly what we have not seen a shred of so far. Not a bit. Nothing. Zero. Crap. Sixers Celtics later on tonight. Boston looking to close out Philly. 7 o'clock. That is in Boston for Game 5. Hawks and Knicks this evening. That is a Game 5 series tied at 2 games apiece. Let's just face the Knicks are playing to keep Mike Brown around. If they like him, if you like your coach, maybe you win at home tonight. If you want to continue to be coached by your coach. And then with Wembanyama back, the Spurs looked really good. Blazers and the Spurs with San Antonio at home, an opportunity to close out Portland in round number 1. 3-1 is that advantage. Those two teams get underway later on tonight at 9:30. JMV, the text line is now active. This is well done. See, this is what motivation is all about right here, friends. Motivation of you getting involved, the 317-239-1070. Disappointed I didn't win, but probably for the best. I'm dealing with a calf strain. Seriously, don't jack with the calf strain. All these other strains, maybe a hamstring, a groin strain. Listen, the groin strain used to scare the crap out of me, but I'm not scared of it anymore. Anything mentioned in the groin area, hey, but now it's the calf strain. It's just always that first step, isn't it? If it were a Meatloaf song, it's like, is that like getting to first base? Paradise by the Dashboard Light, one of the worst songs of all time. It's a very true story. Rhett Lewis is going to join us coming up a little bit later on, too. We're not just going to go over what transpired in the NFL draft, but I am curious what he thinks about some of the IU location landings, including those that ended up with undrafted free agent signings. Roman Hemby, Devin Boykin. I will say this. I think the Raiders were down with the IU football program of the season. Now, the Raiders they drafted, obviously, Mendoza. And then they signed Hemby, and they also signed E.J. Williams Jr., I believe, the wide receiver. And good for him, too. We'll go over that. Here's my favorite, outside of the obvious top two. Riley Nowakowski. Do you realize fans around here how valuable he's going to become in Pittsburgh, especially when they find exactly what their quarterback situation is going to be longer term? So they have always done the chant when the tight end catches the football. Like Heath Miller comes to mind, right? What is going? Are they going to go no when he catches it in Pittsburgh? I know we have some Steeler fans around here. What's going to be the chant? Because he's going to catch a lot of footballs in my estimation. That and more in a second. Meantime, has Ben ready on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. He is the NFL draft expert for ESPN. And he was fantastic last week. We'll get his breakdown on the draft. And I tell you, I don't even know where to begin here as far as the draft is concerned. But it across the board was just incredibly interesting. Ben joins us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I'm curious, what team do you think came across as of right now on paper the best after this past weekend?
Yeah, I think the most improved team is the Browns for sure. And some of that is when you get to have 2 first-round picks, right? That kind of makes things a little bit easier. Of course, they traded back one of those picks, let them get an extra third-rounder, and that gives you more flexibility in the draft. But they start things out with Spencer Fano. They get 2 receivers, Casey Concepcion and Denzel Boston. Safety Emmanuel McNeil-Warren was a player that we all thought would go a little bit earlier. They were getting there at 60. They added another offensive lineman later in the draft, right? Parker Brailsford. They have done so much to build this offensive foundation, this offensive bedrock, such that if they have a quarterback of the future in the building, he should have all the tools necessary to prove that this year. And then if they don't have that guy, well, they have a nice young core in place with which to develop the next dude. And so the Browns, they walked in with a lot of picks. Always the biggest winner is a team with a lot of picks, but they really did a nice job hitting doubles all the way down the board.
Hey, Ben, it seems like to me, too, the 2 New York teams, at least on paper, I thought did incredibly well. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, the Jets end up with 3 first-round picks when they're trading around. I wouldn't have taken David Bailey at 2. I would have been Arbel Reese guy. Kenyon Sadiq at 16 was a little bit of a surprise. So the Jets draft, not my favorite for relative to the board value, but there's no doubt they added more talent than the average team because of the picks. The Giants were excellent. The Giants got to sit there at 5 and let Arbel Reese fall to them. I thought that was a special opportunity. Francis Mauigoa at 10. I think it indicates that they want to be a team that can dominate in the running game and a bigger investment in guard than we typically saw from a John Harbaugh Ravens team. So I like that a lot. And then you go and you follow that with Colton Hood, one of the followers out of the first round they got early second. Press man corner was a big need for him. And so Giants, I thought, had a really, really nice day.
He is Ben Solak of ESPN, the draft expert. He's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Let's concentrate here on 3 and 4 here. The surprise that Jeremiah Love went where he did with the Cardinals, and then Carnell Tate, the wide receiver, to the Titans. What did you think about both of those selections early on?
Yeah, so the Cardinals, all right, sure, take a running back at 3 after adding Tyler Algier in free agency. You still have James Conner for a year. You have all these other needs. Why not, man? Sure, go for it. There's a reason you're 4th in the NFC West, and you're probably going to stay there for a little bit. This, from what the reporting was a bit of an ownership-driven pick, was a bit of a flashy, exciting offensive weapons, guys who produce a fantasy football sort of pick. It's just not smart team building, right? Love's now going to be the 7th highest paid running back in football. So if you hit on the pick, which is not guaranteed, right? We like to say it's guaranteed. It's not. If you hit on the pick, you're paying market rate for a top 10 rushing attack. So you didn't get any real value on the rookie contract relative to take the Titans at 4, where Carnell Tate is going to be the 30th highest paid receiver in football. You still need him to be kind of a wide receiver 1, but if you're getting top 15, top 20 play out of him, you're getting a bargain on the dollar. Now, Tate goes 4 to the bad class, plain and simple, right? I think in the average draft class, Carnell Tate's a player is going around 10, 15. And just in this year, we did not have an elite wide receiver group. We did not have, in general, elite talent at the other positions like tackle and edge rusher, such that Tate falls down. Tate goes up there for his stock rises a little bit. I expected the Titans to go a different direction. Once Reese was on the board, I thought that'd be the pick. I don't mind Tate too much. You want to build around Cam Ward and give him the tools he needs to succeed. But it is worth remarking that, this Tate's rise up into the top 5 is largely a product of how bad this class was.
Well, it's interesting to me. I hope, well, at least in the case, I guess, for Titans fans, I would love the motivation this dude's going to get, because this selection of Tate was so widely criticized. He's a talented dude. He just happened to be on an incredibly talented team, as we saw at Ohio State, and he has been so slighted. I think oftentimes we see these situations where these guys are even better because of the wide criticism they're getting, as opposed to all the pats on the back they receive.
Yeah, I mean, did you see Reuben Bain, right? He fell down there to 15, stood up, ripped the Buccaneers hat off the thing, didn't even look at the mirror, not smiling when he meets the commissioner. These guys remember. They always do, right?
Yes.
Amon-Ra St. Brown can name all 14 receivers who went before him or whatever. These guys absolutely remember how draft night falls for them. And so you would hope that, Tate's not doing too much headline reading and first take watching, right? You got to keep yourself in your own business right now. You're a rookie. You got to earn your stripes first. But these guys remember, and absolutely when they end up being very good pros and they get the opportunity to kind of look back on those days, they've got some names to name and they've got some takes to remember, and that's, well, their prerogative.
Ben, why did Bain slide to 15?
Yeah, so you have a player with historically short arms. And so for several teams, that will just remove you from the board, right? We have guidelines that we use for physical measurables that dictate whether or not you're on our board. You fell below them, you're not going to be on our board, period. And that's just because the draft is already so hard that when you start betting on outliers, you're making it even more difficult for yourself. Bain also had the car crash with which he was involved. He was a driver in what ended up being a fatal car crash. I want to say it was in 2023 in Miami. This is something that got reported on. It was about 2 weeks before the draft. Now, teams were aware of it. It was not something that went on Bain's, record, because the charges ended up being dropped. There was no, finding of disorderly driving or drunk driving or anything like that. But that was also something that was in the process over the last couple of weeks. That's going to affect, when you draft Bain, you're going to get asked questions about that from a team perspective. So there were, non-football playing circumstances, such as the measurables and some of the off-field concerns that affected Bain. With that said, Bain's a very, very good pass rusher. And the Buccaneers are in a position where they just need a good pass rusher so badly that they're not going to be reticent to take the risk on a guy who has the arm length concerns. They have a defensive tackle there, Kalijah Cansey, just picked up his 5th-year option. He's been a great player for him. He has historically short arms for the defensive tackle position. They took him 20 overall in that draft class, and he's been a good player for them. And so the Bucs have shown a flexibility for this measurable that other teams haven't. And so when he falls there at 15, they're very happy to scoop him up.
What's more detrimental on the eyeballs of talent evaluators at the NFL level? Short arms on a lineman or little hands for a quarterback?
Good question. I would say generally short arms for a lineman, because little hands on a quarterback matters a lot more regionally, right? Little hands on a quarterback is going to matter if you have an open air stadium and you're somewhere where it gets cold, rainy, and snowy. If you are the home team for the Los Angeles Rams, Los Angeles Chargers, you ain't too worried about, hand size, right? Obviously, if you have to go play a January game in Kansas City and in Denver, right, for the division, and all of a sudden it matters a little bit. But you can say pretty confidently at least 50%, and really more because of our divisional rivals, at least 50% of our games are going to be in warmer weathers or in domes where the hand doesn't matter as much. Arm length matters for offensive tackles and for defensive linemen no matter the weather, right? That's always going to show up on the play. So I would say for the majority of teams, the arm length matters more. But if you start talking to like the Steelers look at every quarterback they've ever drafted. The guy's like 6'5", 230 pounds, big hands. Because that's what they think wins in AFC North football. They think the weather matters that much.
It's Ben Solak of ESPN's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Ty Simpson with the Rams, and they decided to go with the future after Matthew Stafford with Simpson. What did you think about that?
Man, it's not the pick I would have made. And even if I were to make the pick, it's not how I would have done it. If you are really oriented on getting Ty Simpson with, a first rounder this year, if you want to secure that quarterback of the future, I probably would have just made the Trent McDuffie trade differently. And that way I could have made the pick at 29 instead of drafting a guy at 13 that otherwise would not have gone in the first round, given some of the post-draft reporting. They reportedly tried to trade back from 13, but they couldn't find any biters. You got to find a biter, man. You got to be willing to move back. You got to be willing to risk the pick. Reaching, 15 picks, 20 picks relative to the expectation in the first round is really, really damaging in terms of the value that you get. Now, on top of that, I probably just wouldn't have been willing to make the pick because Ty Simpson is a, 6'1", 210-pound quarterback without an elite arm. And when I'm drafting quarterbacks in the top 10, top 15, I really want that guy to have some elite measurables, some elite movement skills, some elite arm talent. If you're going to just look at, who are the top quarterbacks in the league right now? Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. Joe Burrow's kind of your exception that proves the rule, but still he's a pretty big boy. And Justin Herbert, Matthew Stafford. We're talking about guys with real serious arm talent, real mobility. And Simpson's just like a Brock Purdy, Bo Nix type. The ceiling is pretty hard capped on this player. And so drafting him from a developmental perspective, unless he's going to hit a growth spur, I just can't really find the development for the Rams, especially relative to a team that lucked into a top 15 pick because of the Falcons, was in the NFC Championship game. You were so close, and you had to pick early enough to add a really impactful player for your 2026 outcome, and you elected not to. I thought it was mismanaged across the board by Les Snead.
So Ben Solak, who is with us in the quarterback division right here, we've seen the news, and it's more because he's a red ass, and it's like the general manager of the Ravens in Eric DaCosta. He's also a red ass, so the Ravens get Diego Pavia. Is this going to be a lot about really not much, which sometimes we find in NFL circumstances? We make a lot out of something where, just because of the talent level, it never is something that we talk about again. But is there a potential for something further down the road of the NFL for Pavia, in your estimation?
Yeah, I think it's a lot about a little. It is very hard to be Pavia's height and to succeed a quarterback in the NFL. You have to be really an elite mover. Pavia is a cool mover. He's very tough. He's going to put his shoulder down and break a tackle. But we're not talking about a guy with runaway speed, a guy with runaway agility. That offense in Vanderbilt did a lot of work from an RPO perspective and from a play action perspective and from a screen perspective, using the quarterback running game, the read option game to find space, right? He's not going to be able to find space like that in the NFL, and his height is pretty limiting in terms of the windows he can throw through at the NFL level. And so Pavia is kind of like a classic, excellent college quarterback, but bottom of the roster league quarterback, because even when you're going from the SEC to the NFL, it's still such an enormous leap in terms of the dimensions of guys you're playing against, the height, weight, speed of your teammates and your opponents. So I said, if you don't clear this bar, you're not big enough to ride the ride. That's just always been the nature of NFL quarterbacking relative to college quarterbacking. So it's tough. Pavia's fun to watch, but he's going to be a camp body, and that's about it.
That's my favorite thing of all time right there. Yeah, you can't get on this teacup ride if you're not this high right here. But I just love it. I'm not the biggest fan of DaCosta, but I know he does some work. There's no doubt about that. But they seem similar. They both seem really red ass. So it's almost like that they equate. I don't know if anything's ever going to materialize with it, but at least the whole storyline to me made sense.
Yeah, and sometimes it's as simple as Pavia's agent is doing the work, doing the job, and there's an agent with whom DaCosta would like to have a good relationship, and a camp bond doesn't really cost you much. And so, to me, a lot of it is just keeping the relationships there in the NFL.
Hey, Ben, I'm curious about some of the guys we've been talking about so far, maybe somebody we have yet to mention. Who do you think has the quickest impact in their rookie season among some of these draft selections, either the ones we've talked about or the ones we have yet to mention?
Yeah, I think Caleb Downs is going to matter a lot for the Cowboys. The Cowboys were a terrible defense last year, both in terms of execution, but then also culturally, right? Micah Parsons gets traded away. DeMarvion Overshawn gets injured. Jordan Lewis left in free agency for the Jaguars. And the Cowboys really found themselves without leadership there defensively, right? Trevon Diggs was injured the whole year. The guys who were the guys were no longer there. And so Downs is going to come in and I think not just be a very, very good player for them and Christian Parker's the new DC there, Vic Fangio defense, maximize your safeties, nickel back versatility, like all the football stuff's going to be great. But Downs, I think, is also going to walk in as a rookie and be a culture-setting player, be a leader player, be calling stuff out on the field, be making winning plays with high effort, and that's going to leak into other positions. So Dallas desperately needed this caliber of individual in terms of this caliber of player. And so Downs, to me, is going to be a rising tide, lifts all boats there for that defense.
Ben Solak of ESPN's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So the first two, we'll start right here with the Colts. C.J. Allen, the linebacker of Georgia, and A.J. Halsey, the safety out of LSU. What do you think about the early work for a team like the Colts that did not have a first-round selection?
Yeah, Halsey was one of my guys in this class. He's just 6 foot, 220 pounds, built like a fire hydrant, and just he hits. I mean, he hits, and there's not as many safeties who hit the way that we used to. He hits safely. You know, he goes for the body. He doesn't get a lot of penalties, but he is a punishing force when he is driving down on the catch point or in the running game. And that you saw, I think, some of the enthusiasm for Lou Anarumo there and some of the social videos that they released. Lou had a safety in Cincinnati named Von Bell, and Von Bell was about 220. Von Bell just knocked his socks clean off, right? And when you're going to be a zone-heavy defense, you need to have a player that discourages throws to the middle of the field with physicality. That's Halsey. He's got a real quick trigger. He sees it fast. It's unspectacular, like time speed, but because of his play speed, he's really quick to it. And then he's built like a fire hydrant. And so Halsey was a player I liked quite a bit. Good fit for him. C.J. Allen was a really, really interesting pick because Chris Ballard drafts testers, right? He drafts guys who are big height, big weights, big speed, big arm length. That has always been his way. C.J. Allen did not test in the process. And a lot of that was by choice, right? There was lingering injury, but Allen could have gone and could have tested. He didn't test because the numbers probably would have been pretty pedestrian, right? That's just not his strength was not going to be, explosive jumps and that sort of thing. He's quick, but for his size too, he's a little bit of a smaller linebacker. It wouldn't have been incredible testing. To have Ballard draft that guy speaks to how high Allen's intangibles and his film are, right? I mean, this is a guy who walked onto Georgia as a freshman. He didn't walk on, he was recruited, but he came to Georgia as a freshman, was immediately running the scout team. Kirby Smart wouldn't shut up about him. Like, they were asking Kirby about, the actual players that are seeing time during the national championship. He's like, man, C.J. Allen's really helping us on the scout team. Like, they were obsessed with this guy when he was 18 years old. Multi-year starter, productive around the football, calling the defense, adjusting stuff on the field. Like, the specialness of the football IQ and the leadership, I think, put Allen on a place on the Colts board where typically a tester like this would not have fit in. And they need that. Again, that thing about that linebacker room right now is so thin. Allen's going to walk there and immediately be a 3-down player. He's going to play 100% of the snaps. So you need a guy who's a very clarion voice who knows how to lead a defense, the future NFLers, like he did at Georgia. And so Allen, to me, was a very cool pick. And I think that they hold him in a rarefied air for some of his intangibles, given the fact they selected him where they did.
Hey, Ben, they traded back from 47 to 53 and selected Allen. Did they make a mistake on not going after maybe an edge rusher that had availability in that particular neighborhood?
I don't think so. I think that you could have made the Zion Young pick, and that would have been admirable and fun. They tend to like juicier, more rushers with more explosiveness than Zion Young. I was surprised that I pegged them as a Jacob Rodriguez team, and I thought they'd be aggressively moving up the board to go get him as he fell into day 2. The fact that they moved back to go take Allen, I think they were fine letting the league believe they were a Jacob Rodriguez team, where in reality they were always a C.J. Allen team. I was a JT Tuimoloau fan coming out of Ohio State, and I know the rookie season was nothing to write home about.
Yeah.
But I do think that when you spend a top 50 pick on a guy, 2 drafts ago, you still have to give him the opportunity to earn some run there in year 2. So my hope is that Tuimoloau steps into those shoes the way that they anticipated these departures by drafting him last year.
That is perfect. I love the segue you just gave me here. Why do you believe in him? Because he is going to put on the spot. We know Laiatu Latu is going to be held to a much higher standard as far as results and production. But why do you believe in Tuimoloau in this case here, coming off a rookie season last year?
Yeah, I mean, just good profile of height, weight, length, right? Talk about the things that matter at the edge rusher spot. He was a guy who learned how to be productive as a rusher with his hands at Ohio State. You saw that light bulb come on in his final season. Now, I do think that he played heavier at Ohio State and heavier in his rookie year there in Indianapolis than you would probably like for him to. He was a big part of their run defense at Ohio State, so he had to carry a lot of body armor and a lot of mass. I think you'd like for him to be a little bit leaner, so that way that first step can be a little bit quicker. But to me, we have a guy who's got an 8-sack-a-year pass rush profile who can be a 3-down player so he can defend the run, right? And that's kind of what you're looking for in an edge 2 in the NFL. Be able to play on base downs so you can stop the run and then push the pocket, maximize my edge rusher number 1, that's Latu, get those cleanup sacks and be that 7-8 sack-a-year player. That's what I expected him to be. Now, he didn't break into the rotation the way you'd hoped last season. Now it's much clearer in front of him. He's going to be given the opportunity, and development is not linear, right? Sometimes it's easy to believe bad rookie season means bad sophomore season. You need to look over NFL history. Bad rookie season means great sophomore season, terrible sophomore season, non-existent sophomore season. Like, the league is full of ups and downs. And so you want to hold a candle for a guy. You don't want to write the book on him after just 1 year.
All right, so the guy that took his starting spot as a senior is Caden Curry. The Colts drafted him in round number 6, and the whole short arm thing that you talked about a little bit earlier, he was charged with that as well. 11 sacks as a senior, highly productive, great motor. We know him from around here. He is a tremendous kid. Does he translate with reps and production with the Colts at the NFL level?
Yeah, I think that you are hoping that he's going to be a rotational part of the pass rush, especially in some of your rundown sets, right? And it should be noted that a lot of what we think we know about Ballard's edge rushers came with Gus Bradley there as the DC, and now with Lou and Rumo, some of the parameters are going to change a little bit, and so we could be caring more about some of the run defense and being able to play light boxes, so on and so forth. I don't think that when you go and you watch the film, I don't think the film matches the production. He had 16 TFLs, right? 11 sacks. And a lot of that is cleanup work. A lot of that is Arvell Reese blowing something up. Caden McDonald's blowing something up. Sonny Styles is blowing something up. And then Curry's there to kind of finish the job. With that said, though, he's got country strong, right? I mean, he's got legitimate power in his hands. He's got pop. He's got balance and a powerful lower half. He can hold his water, and you can be there to make those plays. So he'll be special teamer, rotational defensive end early in the career. And then you're just hoping that the ball continues to find him the way it did there for that one season as a starter.
Well, we think you're a wizard here, so I want to get your impression on George Gums Jr., who is out of Florida, an edge rushing project. He was a 5th-round selection. Is there any hope, any chance that he translates into something here?
Well, whenever you're making the, wide receiver / tight end to outside linebacker conversion, you're drafting on potential here. You're drafting on theory. So there absolutely is potential here because he's explosive. He's comfortable around contact. Sometimes when these skill position players transfer to other spots, they don't like contact. Gums is still worthy to go through it. And to have even made the transfer and made the change just speaks to the level of competitiveness. He clearly wants to see the field and help the team. He doesn't know what he's doing yet right now in terms of what's on, what's attached to the end of his wrists as a pass rusher. He's still very much like a baby doe out there figuring it out. So you're a year away from being a year away. But in a draft where I think Ballard, kind of ate his Wheaties and drafted some non-elite athletes because the team needed it so desperately, you got to let the guy just draft the guy who jumped to 40 inches because he loves drafting these guys, and then you see what you can get out of him as time goes on. So I'm not expecting anything out of Gums in 2026. But you'll hear about training camp, we'll hear about practice squad work and practices, and we'll check back in 2027.
Man, I wish I was as athletic to be able to go through 3 different positions and still get drafted in the NFL. That is pretty incredible. Hey, by the way, you're one of our favorites now, so you're going to be on the short list of our calls. I hope you don't mind.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
No, you do a great job. Seriously, it was the first time last week we've ever had you on, and you were widely embraced around here by the listening audience. That was a job well done, man. Great breakdown, and we appreciate you spending the time with us.
I appreciate it. I'm in Indy every year for the Combine, and so it's always a nice visit. It's a nice town.
Well, I like to take people at the Combine out to have some cocktails. So, yes, we meet in the middle right there next time. Okay, buddy?
All right, take care.
All right, Ben, thank you. Ben Solak right there. Is he old enough to have cocktails? He sounds like he's about is that bad? I'd want to sound like I'm 17. Ben Solak is really good. I do like that dude a great deal, though. He has, and I could ask him about anybody. He just goes on. Ben Solak of ESPN's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. We shall take a break. And somebody you like as well, Rhett Lewis, is going to join us, the former Hoosier. NFL Network on the other side. The concentration on those from IU that were drafted and those that were signed as undrafted free agents and their landing spots. His thoughts on that and more coming up on the other side. AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live, the Hensley Legal Group Command Center. It happens. Higher Hensley, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Oh, we have a great SUV deal and a sale and the end of the month going on right now with Buick, with my friend Eric Wilson and Andy Moore, Buick GMC, 131st State Road 37 in Fishers. Have you checked out the brand new 2026 Buick Enclave? What a great SUV, and they have it in different styles, the Enclave. Great deals going on right now with Buick. It is a red-hot brand, too. You can find great deals. The inventory is going to be there, too, and the service after the sale. You can also find that at Indiana's Best. Tell Eric Wilson that I sent you for the Buick SUV event that's going on right now at Andy Moore Buick GMC, 131st State Road 37 in Fishers.
The Ride with JMV.
It's called Sex Panther by Odeon. It's illegal in 9 countries.
It's quite pungent. Stings the nostrils.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Ben Solak, podcast 107.5thefan.com. The shop in Carmel coming up on Friday. We've got Indy 500 gear for the month of May. We're going to open up the month of May with Brian and Alex and our friends from the shop in Carmel. That's Rangeline Road in Carmel coming up on Friday. The Fan Golf Outing presented by Franciscan Health. The Legends, Ted Bishop is waiting on us. We've got a little hoop shooting going on there, too. You're going to be playing golf. Don Fisher, voice of the Hoosiers, will be a part of it. The voice of the Pacers, Kristen Airy, is going to be there. I believe Tucker Barnhart and Drew Storm, the former major leaguers, will be a part of it. You can shoot against me. I will exclusively be at the goal, ready to rock with you, with Carlton and my friends down there. That is on Thursday at the Legends in Frank. By the way, too, I still got a couple of people that wanted to jump on board, even though this thing is sold out. Now, I think, James, I could probably have somebody take my place, right? Because I'm not going to play golf. I'm going to shoot.
I am assuming you can do that.
I'm assuming I can do that as well. Hopefully that's the case, because I got to do that since it's on Thursday. And Braun's Fun Time Campers, Austin Braun set us up with a camper in Lot 4. The weekend of the greatest spectacle in racing. We'll be out there for Carb Day. will be out there for the weekend. And the night before the 500 JMV takeover is live from lot number 4. That is 25th and Georgetown. Lot number 4, bronze, fun time, campers. Myself, Doug Wiggin, and Dev, the engineer, went out and selected the camper today. We are good to go. All we need, you, and I'm assuming you guys will be there. Better than the Coke lot last year. I love the Coke lot, but more easily accessible. Will lot 4 be just outside turn 4 at IMS? More on that coming up in a second. Meantime, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, no truth to the rumor that he was pedaling around his Schwinn during the Little 500 this past weekend down in Bloomington. A Monroe County spectacular at IU. From the NFL Network, the former Hoosier Rhett Lewis joins us now. Hello, Rhett. How are you?
What's up, Al? Doing good, man. Doing good. Always a great day to be a Hoosier.
No Little 500 for you this past weekend, correct? You were busy.
Nah, a little busy presiding over a program record 8 Indiana Hoosiers being selected in the NFL draft, which was super cool, and a few more that'll end up in camps as well.
Well, and there are some in camp. I'm curious about the undrafted free agents. We'll get to the guys that are drafted in a second, but the undrafted free agents, the former Hoosiers, who do you think landed in an incredible spot? Maybe they all did, but who would be at the top of your list at landing positions would be really good and inspiring for that particular player?
Yeah, look, I think E.J. Williams getting a deal with the Las Vegas Raiders and reuniting with Fernando Mendoza is about as good as it gets right there. I thought that there was a chance that when the Raiders moved up to the first pick of the 4th round with Elijah Surratt still on the board, that they might have given consideration to reuniting Mendoza with Surratt. But they ended up getting Jermod McCoy, the corner from Tennessee, who had a big fall because of an injury. So the fact that the Raiders were able to come back and get E.J. Williams, who performed really well at his pro day. Yeah, I think he ran in the low 4.4s and, had some big catches for this team throughout the year. I think he's in a great spot with the lack of a true number 1 wide receiver out there in Las Vegas. Not saying E.J.'s going to be the number 1 receiver, but I think there's opportunity for him to make an impact there in Vegas.
I thought that he stuck to it, and that was a common theme when you talk about Omar Cooper Jr., who almost left, got injured, and stayed, and we saw how that worked out. But E.J. Williams Jr. was somebody else, too, that stuck it out, stayed around, and we saw it now pay off.
Exactly right. And, that's a lot of that consideration that those guys take to leaving is just part of, what we come to know is today's college football, and that is what it is. But he left, came back, and reaped the benefits. And he's finally stayed healthy, which had been a problem for him throughout the entirety of his career. And I think you saw what kind of potential he can have. And I think it's immense, and I think the best is yet to come for him.
It's Rhett Lewis who joins us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So the Raiders were active with former Hoosiers. The Steelers were active with former Hoosiers in this case as well. So obviously the impression with this program and Curt Cignetti is certainly there. What else do you like about where these former IU players ended up after this past weekend?
Yeah, kind of neat that Kurt's brother Frank is on the offensive staff in Pittsburgh, and he'll now have the services of the Swiss Army knife Riley Nowakowski, who was drafted in the 5th round by the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I loved that fit right there. And I think Devin Boykin ended up joining him on an undrafted free agent deal going to Pittsburgh as well. So I thought that was cool. I think it's just, it's a testament to the type of player that's here in Bloomington, and it's a testament to the development that they get here. So I've long said that the 3 biggest pieces of what makes Curt Cignetti so elite to me is, 1, evaluating what he needs and being so damn good at it. Developing them when they're here, they get better week over week, year over year. And then his messaging. And his messaging has to do with the expectations that are set and how each player understands their role in keeping to that standard. So it all kind of just speaks to the blueprint that Stig has laid out here.
Kamara with the Niners, Hemby as well with the Raiders. You mentioned Boykin going to the Steelers. So for those undrafted free agents, it appears to be that there's ample opportunity for these guys to do something and make some impact.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, the three biggest, three franchises who have really seen the pipeline from Indiana to the NFL are the Raiders, obviously, the 49ers, who took a pair of Hoosiers last year in Curtis Rourke and CJ West, and then signed Mikhail Kamara and drafted Kalon Black this year. So there's 4 Hoosiers in the last 2 years there in San Francisco, a few more in Pittsburgh, who also have an IU alum in their scouting staff, which is super cool. Casey Weidel went to IU and is part of the Pittsburgh Steelers evaluation crew. And then, thinking about, so Steelers, Raiders, and then, it's really neat to see all these guys getting a chance to kind of continue their football journeys.
The one guy that stands out to me, and Rhett, you already mentioned him, is Riley Nowakowski. I thought that was the perfect landing position for him, because when you were thinking about what he was for IU, you always counted on him. And in terms of Steeler tight ends, and Heath Miller comes to mind automatically right here. They're always guys that they depend on. The catchability, the blocking, the timely play. And to me, Nowakowski is that and then some as a rookie going into Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and he's, I think he's a better version of a player they drafted in Connor Hayward a couple of years ago. Cam Hayward's younger brother, who's no longer there, is actually with the Raiders now. I think he's strong. I mean, he is strong. I remember I first noticed him in the spring game last year, and I remember just texting with Mike Shanahan, the offensive coordinator, being like, "Holy smokes, who's 37? He's got a stinger on him." And man, he will absolutely blow your doors off in the run game at the point of attack. And then you mentioned the timely catches. Man, I think back to the conversions he had in the Big Ten championship game against Ohio State. I think about the deep throw down the middle that Fernando hit him on to set up Omar Cooper's catch of the year against Penn State. That Alabama run, catch and run in the Rose Bowl was a thing of beauty. He's just got so many skills, and I think they're going to be able to utilize him on all the core 4 special teams as well on fourth downs.
So Rhett Lewis of the NFL Network, the former Hoosiers on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So D'Amico Ryans, a former team leader defensively and now a leader of the Texans. Aiden Fisher, the former IU defensive team leader as well, also drafted by the Texans. A lot of that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely does. And that's another dude that's going to be used on fourth downs all over the place by the Texans is Aiden Fisher. Look, there's so many coaches that were texting me about Aiden and just hoping that he was going to be there for him on day 3. The Texans made that happen, and deservedly so. He was a foundational player at Indiana. He's a CPU on a defense, and again, going to be some serious teams value there. I actually just talked to Aiden today, and I've got an interview coming up with him as part of my Big Red Carpet Substack for Indiana fans, and that's coming out a little bit later. But I asked him if by chance, since he's now playing for an Alabama Crimson Tide linebacker, if 38-3 on January 1st, 2026 might get mentioned at some point. He said, "Not out of my mouth, it won't." So, smart man. Smart man, Aiden Fisher. Smart man.
Yeah, I just thought that it all made, in not even so much about the Rose Bowl in this case, but the drafting and the guy just made sense for the guy that's going to coach him up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. I mean, the way that Aiden Fisher can diagnose and then destroy an offense's plan is probably my favorite thing about him. I mean, yeah, he makes plays, sideline to sideline, run game, pass game. He was really effective as a blitzer, I thought, in a number of ways. So, and look, they've got the best defense in the NFL right now. So the bar is high there, and they got a guy who is constantly striving to be better in Aiden Fisher. So I think he'll be a culture player for him, and I think he'll have something to say about that second level of that D'Amico Ryans defense.
Rhett, were you surprised that Elijah Surratt lasted all the way to selection 115?
A little bit, yeah. I was more surprised that the Ravens ended up taking Jacoby Lane ahead of him in the third round as a wide receiver. I thought that would have been the spot for Elijah Surratt to go. I think Elijah Surratt's just a ready-made pro. And I think so often we can kind of lose sight of guys who are boring in that way, who aren't as much of a projection, and they are like, I know what he's going to be in the league. The Ravens know what he's going to be, and he's going to be it on day one. And I think so often we get enamored by potential and forget about production, which Curt Cignetti has told us and reminded us time and time again, production's what wins. Potential gets you fired. So Elijah Surratt is going to be like, he's just a ready-made pro. He's going to impact them right away. And I think Lamar Jackson's really going to benefit from having his ability in contested catches to go out there and make some big plays.
It's Rhett Lewis with us. Before I let you go, obviously the Jets were a destination location for a couple of former Hoosiers. Omar Cooper Jr., we talked about him last week before the draft. D'Angelo Pons ends up there as well. His translation to the next level, you and I had the conversation last week in the comparable there being that of Kenny Moore the second. What can he do early and often, you think, for that Jets defense now that he has a landing spot and obviously a great need in New York for his skill set?
Well, what he's got now is a guy who he kind of mimics in terms of skill set is his head coach, Aaron Glenn. So, we just talked about Aiden Fisher going to play for a linebacker, D'Amico Ryans. Well, D'Angelo Pons is going to play for a cornerback that the Jets took the 12th overall pick in the early 90s, as a first rounder. So they were both smaller statured guys who played bigger, and that's what Pons is. And the thing I loved about what Coach Glenn said about D'Angelo Pons was that they're going to cross-train him. They're not just going to pigeonhole him into that nickel slot because of his size. They saw that he held up as an outside corner throughout his entire college career, and they're going to give him the opportunity to go play and win there. So I think that tells you a lot about what they saw in him, how they view him, and just how valuable they view his skill set.
Hey, Rhett, did you check out the spring game Thursday in Bloomington?
I haven't seen it yet. I've been so consumed with the draft stuff, but I did kind of go back and watch a little bit of the first half as I was just kind of letting the dust settle on some of these draft picks. I got to go watch the whole thing. The first quarter, I should say. I know it was only a half.
Obviously this group is going to have it. I shouldn't say a difficult time, but I mean, now you've got the expectations with IU, the national champion, and what this team accomplished. Do you feel like, at least on paper, that they have the pieces to, not so much, I'm not suggesting they win the national title again, but be elite level as what we've witnessed the last 2 years? Why not?
Don't just suggest it, say it. Yeah, I mean, that's what they're going out to attack, man. They're going out to attack, winning another one. Don't be afraid of that. That's what this team has positioned themselves to do. And the best part about it is Curt Cignetti cares about none of it. All he cares about is the work that it takes to give yourself that opportunity again. And that's why they will be in that position again, because that standard and expectation is set. And it's not one that's built on expectation from the outside. Yeah, it's from the inside, and where that bar is as high as it can possibly be, and you have to continuously strive to meet it in Curt Cignetti's eyes, and they do that daily.
Yeah, it's amazing. This is where we are right now, but it is beyond legit, to say the least. Rhett Lewis, NFL Network, the former Hoosier, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Hey, before I let you go here, remind people where they can find your conversation with Aiden Fisher as well. You mentioned that a little bit earlier.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. That's going to be on the Big Red Carpet Substack. So that's an opportunity for you can go and subscribe and get all the Indiana football content you want and you need. And just had an awesome time with Fish, just kind of reliving that draft day experience. He told some great stories, too, and gave some insight into what he expects from this group going into next year. But, of course, draft coverage continues with my friends here at ESPN and NFL Network tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Path to the Draft. Which I'm fired up with as well. And but appreciate you guys having me back on again.
I love having you on, man. I appreciate that. We'll do it again very soon, Rhett. Thank you.
All right, guys. Talk soon.
Rhett Lewis of the NFL Network on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. You look at it is fun as hell to see all these former Hoosiers that you guys, as IU fans, fell in love with this team this past year. Given this opportunity, either via the draft or signing as undrafted free agents. Cool as hell. People want to know what time for the Morgan Wallen tickets. Not quite sure yet. I would suggest you hang. Here's what we got. I believe we're nude for the remainder of the show, meaning open at 317-239-1070. The outset, I explained to you why the NBA, if the fix would be in, you better fix it to fix the Pacers, to make them even better, because the NBA postseason so far is boring as hell without them. You look at all they had to offer. First round, semifinals, Eastern Conference Finals, NBA Finals. So far in the first round, it's been boring. It has been boring, and you have an 8-up 3-1 in the Eastern Conference Finals. And if you watched that last night with the Pistons and the Magic, as the Magic moved up 3-1, that was awful. The one seed turned it over 20 times. Awful basketball. Awful. NBA needs the Pacers. Get back to that coming up on the other side. Your calls coming up at 317-239-1070 as well. The Hensley Legal Group Command Center is our location. It happens. Hire Hensley, the AAA membership lounge via YouTube Live. You can watch. You can be a part of the show, whatever you want to be, and become a AAA member today. That's AAA.com. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Outdoor living space is so vital, so important. You work hard. It is a long day. You want to go home and chill, and you want that deck of yours to look incredible, not just for yourself and for the chillability of what you're doing, but also because you want everybody to see it. And you want that impression to be there, and that's what you're going to get with Ron and my friends at Premier Deck Coating. Get that free quote today at 317-696-4071. That's exactly what I use. In fact, I think I'm going to change up the color a little bit, and that's what's great. Virtually any color imaginable, you can customize your space exactly the way that you want it. Plus, you get a 10-year warranty. That's no staining or painting every couple of years. You're going to save a lot of money and a lot of time and effort and just enjoy your outdoor living space. Maybe it's your deck. How about a fence or a pergola? Maybe like me, an outbuilding. Call Ron at Premier Deck Coating today. Get that free quote. Then thank me later at 317-696-4071. That is Ron at Premier Deck Coating. 317-696-4071. Tell them I sent you online. That's premierdeckcoating.com.
The Ride with JMV.
2 more minutes. They could be miles off course. That's impossible. They're on instruments. This is going to be you a real sweat.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I got to see you right here. Text line activity at 317-239-1070. Airplane. Got the viewing. The 1980 Classic, May the 15th, Mira Old National Center. Who's in? Who wants to go? I got a couple of passes for you. Robert Hayes and Julie Haggerty. The stars of Airplane will be there. You can too right now. 317-239-1070. May the 15th, Mira Old National Center. Who is in to see Airplane? Who wants to go? Robert Hayes was on the show a couple of weeks ago. It was awesome. But I love what they're doing with these films that we love, and they're bringing in cast members, and they're doing a screening with you, and then a Q&A and a meet and greet with the cast members, too. It's awesome. You can be a part. Number 30 on the text line at 317-239-1070. I need to see the text line activity going down right now. Thank you. 317-239-1070. May the 15th, Mira Old National Center. Speaking of the text line, JMV, this is Eric from Cumberland. My girlfriend and I watched a new documentary film, Jerry West, the Logo, over the weekend. It is a must-watch. I'll need a location of that. It is weird. In the past couple of weeks, it seems like I've missed a lot. I've missed some documentaries. I had watched Euphoria leading up to this year, and I watched the season 3 debut, and then I haven't watched it since. And I do like it. It's different without the two actors no longer with us. Eric Dane being one, but I haven't watched that. I haven't watched really anything. The sports, I guess. And I know. I sound incredibly butt sore about the NBA postseason. I mean, there's probably a little soreness there, a little chafing. But it has sucked. It has sucked without the Pacers. And it's not just from around here. I just think it sucked in general. There just hasn't been a lot of drama, a lot of compelling basketball. There's been a lot of bad basketball. And I know I've also been watching the Stanley Cup playoffs. Weird, huh? All right, go to it. I like the fact you're sending me, surely you can't be serious. I am serious, and don't call me Shirley, which is just beautiful. Airplane, one of the most quotable comedies of our lifetime. Going back to 1980. You know what? We got good fortune here. We've got good fortune because of 5 o'clock hour where we're nude, naked, nothing going on. 239-1070. That means activity on the phones. Colts draft. My thoughts on the NBA postseason without the Pacers. My thoughts on the draft lottery coming up a week from Sunday. Play off of that too. Greg Rakestraw a little bit earlier. Rhett Lewis on the show. And Ben Solak, also awesome. Chad Buchanan, Pacers general manager, among others that will join us coming up tomorrow. Road shows Thursday and Friday. And Bronze Fun Time Campers, the RV for race weekend, has been selected. And the JMV Takeover is once again going to be active this year in lot number 4 outside of turn number 4. 25th in Georgetown. We're good to go. All right, quick break. We're back with you guys at 239-1070. Whatever you want to talk about on the other side. The Hensley Legal Group Command Center is our location. It happens. Hire Hensley. The 888 Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. That's where you're also watching and you're communicating and enjoying the show. Hour number 3, straight ahead. Stay right there. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Oh, I think you know what I'm talking about here. The best in plumbing. Lance and his local team at LD Smith Plumbing and Drains at 317-927-7186. They also bring me to you with Tony Katz every Monday morning on 93 WIBC. But most importantly, they make sure that your plumbing needs, no matter what they are completely met. So I know you had way too much saturation, I'm sure, in and around your house, your foundation. Make sure that all those drains that help usher the water away from your home and its foundation, make sure that they're clog-free. Yeah, maybe you found that out, but there's still time to do something about it. After last night and those storms, 317-927-7186, clog-free with LD Smith Plumbing and Drains. Plus, you get a great deal right now on a sump pump and a battery backup. I mean, the best deals of the year. That's something you certainly need, and maybe now more than ever after last night. Make sure you contact, I should say, right now, 317-927-7186. Lance and his local team at LD Smith Plumbing and Drains. The battery backup, the sump pump, the clog-free drains, all necessities and all a part of the plumbing experience at the highest level you get with LD Smith Plumbing and Drains. 317-927-7186. That's online, ldsmithplumbing.com.
The Ride with JMV.
We have the holy hand grenade.
Yes, of course. The holy hand grenade of Antioch.
Right. 1, 2, 5. Freezer. 3.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
John here. We have Morgan Wallen tickets a little bit later on. A week from Friday, Lucas Oil Stadium. Who plans on going already? All right, so the Colts tell me Caden Curry's going to join us coming up on Thursday. Well, he's around here. He should just come to Franklin and go to the golf outing. That's really 10 minutes away. He should be on today. I want to make sure that, because I'm going to go to the West Gym to play at Center Grove later on tonight. I want to make sure that the gym floor is clean. I don't really like that. Caden Curry, Center Grove, Ohio Stater, and a Colts draft selection on this show. I'm assuming he is in town, so yeah. If Eric Moore is listening right now, just have Caden join us live at the golf outing. You'll be all right. That's coming up on Thursday. Chet Buchanan, Pacers general manager, tomorrow. I know what you're saying. Are you going to give him the diatribe that you just talked about for the better part of a couple of hours regarding if the NBA is going to hose the Pacers, they need to hose the Pacers in a good way because the Pacers are necessary in the postseason? I don't know if he would be on board with that particular dialogue, but I'm not afraid of it because it's true. It is 100% true. There is certainly some bias going on here in what I'm saying, but if you have watched, and I do, and you know that I do because I'm a lover of basketball, the first round of the postseason has sucked, and it sucked specifically without the Pacers. Just look what the Pacers brought a year ago. It was constant excitement. Up and down. When they're not hitting game winners, it's up and down the floor. It's exciting basketball. I had to sit through Detroit, the 1 seed, by the way, down 3-1 to a Magic team that sucks. I had to sit and watch that last night at Game 4 where the 1 seed turned the ball over 20 times. And the guy I make fun of, Tobias Harris, that I think there's zero way he's ever going to be a part of anything championship. Hell, he had the best game of any of the Pistons last night. That's awful. I just mentioned yesterday the Cavaliers and the Raptors, how awful that was. Got to give us something, a little bit of something. We're going to get it tonight. Sixers, Celtics with Boston to close that opportunity in game number 5, up 3-1. 7 o'clock on ESPN. NBC and Peacock tonight for the Hawks and the Knicks. Now, I have been down with this. Kicking and screaming. If there is one series that has been really worth the time and the effort, it's probably been that. Hawks and the Knicks later on tonight, 8 o'clock, again, NBC and Peacock. And the second of the 2 ESPN games will more than likely be boring as hell. The Blazers and the Spurs. Spurs, a 3-1 opportunity for a close. Yeah, then you get the Magic with a chance. Franz Wagner, a game 5, uncertainty with a calf strain. You know how we feel about that. Calf strain means sit. It's funny. I don't even like watching Ben Carroll play. He goes 22 and 8.5, I know, but I'm not even a big fan of watching that. Magic and that would be nice. Magic opportunity for a closeout on the road in Detroit with a 1 seed. Raptors and Cavaliers, that's been awful. Now, that series tied at 2 games apiece. That's tomorrow night, by the way, 7:30 on ESPN from Cleveland and the Rockets and the Lakers. And the Lakers another closeout opportunity, in fact, at home. Looks like Austin Reeves may be good to go to come back. And who knows about Kevin Durant? Would anybody want, seriously, as a Pacer fan, would you want to see, and there's zero way it's going to happen, don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't even want to see it at this point. This guy's been a slep rock wherever he has gone since Golden State. I know that he is a walking bucket. I know that he is a Hall of Famer, but I wouldn't be down with it. It's just me. JMV, 317-239-1070 is the text line number. NHL postseason underrated. The best time of year to watch hockey, and I have been watching the hockey. I have. And I've watched more than just the Canadians and the Lightning so far, too. And I understand a lot of you would consider that to be boring. Sabres an opportunity. Our good friend Rob Ray, who was on the show on Friday. Bruins and Sabres, TNT, later on tonight. That's at 7:30. And the Sabres up 3-1 on the Bruins. And absolutely, Boston, their doors blown off in Game 4. The Wild and the Stars, fantastic series, tied at 2 games apiece tonight. And how about Anaheim at road opportunity to Edmonton to close out the Oilers, up 3-1. Got 3 coming up later on tonight. But no, I would agree with you. Incredibly fun to this point. A managerial firing today. The Phillies have fired their manager, Rob Thompson. Last I checked, not too long ago, they won a World Series back in 2022. Fast forward now, and after just a horrific start, their worst start, in fact, in over 2 decades, the Phillies have made a managerial change. Which is kind of weird, too, because I saw this Dave Dombrowski acknowledge that he had offered Philadelphia's managerial position to Alex Cora Sunday. That was one day after Cora was fired by the Boston Red Sox. Weird. You do have Major League Baseball later on tonight. Our Redlegs back at it against the Rockies, 6:40 tonight over in Cincinnati. Cardinals and the Pirates also at 6:40. The Cubs a loser last night on the road in San Diego, and they get the Padres again coming up later on tonight. That is at 9:40 with Major League Baseball. There you go. JMV, someone asked if KD is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer without his jersey. Listen, Kevin Durant is one of the greatest players of all time. That doesn't mean that he is great for your situation right now. I just don't know what situation has benefited from his presence since Golden State. And really not only benefiting with results from his presence, but it being detrimental. And I saw this report yesterday that had 10 to 15 NBA teams with, quote, so-called interest. And the Pacers were mentioned as one. First of all, the whole money aspect of it is ridiculous and would never work. And the second part of it is, I don't know why you would even look into it. It has been nothing but a problem. To me, at least. Nothing but a problem. JMV, that was a tremendous reentry, Sir Cliff Richard. Yeah, I think we have an all-80s weekend coming up on B, so we'll do some 80s coming up on Saturday night. Hey, speaking of which, I was out on Pendleton Pike today. Braun's Fun Time Campers with Austin Braun, the owner. It was me and our friend Doug Wiggin, who does producing and some engineering and just make sure that my ass doesn't get lost when we do road shows. And Dev, our engineer, we went out and we selected the RV, or the camper in this case, that we're going to have out for race weekend. And we're going to be in Lot 4. And my reminder to you, Braun's Fun Time Campers. If you're looking for one, if you're looking for some family fun, if you're looking to rent one maybe for a weekend or an excursion, that is the place. The selection is incredible. I promise you're going to love it. Bronze Fun Time Campers, and you're going to love hanging out with us, too. You're going to love hanging out with us. Bronze Fun Time Campers. Tell them I sent you. Just got a ton to choose from right now. So I love that today. And I will take credit for this. I'll take credit for it. And I know that people are going to say, well, it's the economy and the whole weight loss. So, James, this is a true story. I go to the Fox Run because I'm already out there on the northeast side. I go, hey, I'm going to hit these two Goodwills that I love, the Fox Run Goodwill and the Geist Goodwill, and it is slim pickings right now. So I think I've yip too much about how much I love Goodwill and how great it is because it was slim. Like I went last year at this time at the one in Geist that's next to the Ale Emporium, and it was incredible. There was not a lot.
You're going to have to start telling people that they just closed down or something like that.
Well, I mean, we got a remote. If you remember, we did a live show from the one in Carmel going back to the fall. Mm-hmm. And I thought at the time, as much as I like this and as much as I love it, maybe I'm kind of letting the proverbial cat out of the bag here. The secret is out.
You're going to have to find a new Goodwill to frequent.
I've gone to the one in Nora. All the places I've gone seem to be like people are really hitting it now.
Seems like Goodwill should start coming on the show and maybe being a sponsor.
I doubt that. The one by me, Center Grove. So you guys are going to it. So I'm going to take credit for that. The trend that is Goodwill, I'm going to take full credit for it.
Did you find anything, or was it completely?
There was not
much.
No, there was not much. At least for me, and I'm assuming that you can. I don't really look at the furniture and other stuff there, but I kind of go and look for the clothes and such. And it you could tell that it was both of those locations were popular destinations, which is good. I'm glad. As I told you in the past, those are really strong. Goodwill strong. JMV, like you said, won't happen at all, but KD winning another one wouldn't bother me as he's never really messed with the Pacers. Go Avalanche. I'll give you a quick shout out to the Avalanche, too, because the Colorado Avalanche, arguably the best going right now in the postseason of the Stanley Cup playoffs. But the Avalanche would be the former Quebec Nordiques. Shout out to the Nordiques. That is certainly some strong material. JMV, it was so interesting watching the NFL draft from an angle with the Colts being without a first-round selection. That was one thing. But the other was just how many references IU football had. And you got to keep this in mind. IU won the national championship, unbeaten. The Heisman Trophy winner. They had it all. And I know it sounded weird, and it was almost like that Rhett Lewis, when I said, hey, did you see the spring game? What do you think? And I know it's going to be tough because of the expectations and the accomplishments of a year ago. And he goes, oh, whoa, hold on a minute. Those now are the expectations. And he's right. Those are the absolute expectations. For a 2-year span of Curt Cignetti, and the viewpoint of this program is unlike any other we have ever seen. So if sometimes we get lost a little bit in the shuffle of expectations and understanding of it, I think it's okay. And here's why. Because this is uncharted territory for everybody. It's one of those things where you just got to hang on and just think that's exactly what you're going to get, because you've never seen this type of turnaround anywhere. And if you remember when they won the national title, and I compared the story itself in terms of eye-opening, oh, wow, to that of the Miracle on Ice, and I got a little bit of pushback on that, and I get it, but that's really the only thing that is in the general vicinity of what IU accomplished last year, and now looking through the lens at this program and the expectations, because those are the expectations. And simply put, we have never seen anything like that. Pretty damn cool. Hatfield writes this, JMV, go to the Goodwill location, 51st Street in Carmel. I don't know if I've been to I'm sorry, not the 51st, the 151st in Carmel. It is tucked away. No, you know what? I have been there. That's the one by Clay Terrace. I have been there. I think I've hit most of them, not the Westfield one yet. But I have hit most of them so far. Outstanding, to say the least. But, yeah, today the Fox Run and then the Geist one, normally a treasure trove. You guys are onto it. I think you guys are onto it because I told you all about it, which makes me feel fantastic. Thank you very much. JMV, regarding your NBA takes today, I think you're absolutely on point. And it's not so much about being a homer for the Pacers around here. It is just an aspect with the rounds, the first round, the semifinals, the Eastern Conference Finals, and the NBA Finals, that so far the first round just has not delivered. And it's not even so much about being a Pacer fan. It is just compelling, exciting basketball that is missing from the first round of the postseason. I completely agree. I cannot be the only one that notices that, and it's not just because, we cover the Pacers or we talk to Pacers or it's a local team. Just that brand, that style of basketball. Even when they went through, for example, I'll give you a great example. The Eastern Conference semifinals, they won the first two in Cleveland a year ago. They come back home and they lose game number 3, which was an incredible disappointment. But it still wasn't just this awful basketball for the most part we've seen so far. There is a lack of juice. And it shouldn't be, considering what you have going on in the East, with the 8th seed on the verge of eliminating the 1. It shouldn't be that way, but it is. Yeah, that basketball last night in that Game 4 in Orlando was terrible. And the only rival was that basketball we saw with the Raptors and the Cavaliers in game number 4 going back to Sunday afternoon. That's setting basketball back right there. And to me, it really has not as much to do about being from Indy and following the Pacers as it does just your enjoyment or your viewing pleasure of basketball. This stuff is like when Tyler mentioned a little bit earlier the regular season being different than the postseason, he's absolutely right. That was some really bad early regular season basketball that we saw. And you witnessed that with what should have been incredibly exciting last night with the 8th seed in Orlando. It's just bad. JMV, the new Goodwill at 96th and Zionsville Road. I was unaware of this. All of your new friends from the Diplomat in Miami have some good stuff to donate. Shout out. That is one lasting memory I have from Miami, being down there for the national championship game. And that Monday, that entire weekend of that Monday was this. Is the entire community of Zionsville was there. Incredible stuff. Yeah, Bobby Jefferson says it's a brand new Goodwill. It is. Hey, Bobby, I hit that place today. I know it's up by where you live, too. I was thinking about you and Collinsworth and everybody up there, too, when I went past your place. But, yeah, the word is out. The word is out. Tony Donahue with the track update. Will Power currently the fastest, and your boy Connor Daly is second on the speed charts today. There was rookie orientation going on out at IMS and some running going on out there today. Speaking of Connor Daly, he's going to join us coming up on Friday. Actually, I take that back. He's going to be after us on Friday, so I'm like the lead-in. He's like the Rolling Stones in concert, and I'm Nickelback opening up. So I'm opening up for him. Connor Daly's going to be at the shop to sign autographs. That is coming up on Friday. The Rangeline Road in Carmel location of the shop. I'm going to open up things. We'll do 3 hours and have one hellaciously awesome time. And then Connor Daly's going to show up a little bit later on. He's going to sign autographs and meet and greet you guys with our friends BK and Alex at the shop. And that's the location in Carmel, Rangeline Road, coming up on Friday. I don't know about you guys, but I'm good to go for the month of May here. Jeremiah writes this: the NBA needs a lot more than just the Pacers. Playoff three-point shooting has been atrocious. The 1 seed, as I mentioned last night in Detroit in the East, the 1 seed. The 60-win 1 seed team. How many did Detroit win this season? 60? The 60-game winner this past year in the Pistons? Yeah, 60-22. They turned it over 2 less times than games they lost this past year last night. It was awful. Awful. And normally it's compelling because you're talking about the 1 seed here, the 1 seed versus the 8 in Orlando. But, yeah, it's not working. And looking what Orlando had to survive, pretty awful stuff. Yeah, I know what you're saying, too. Well, OKC's really good. OKC, they sweep Phoenix. Phoenix is awful, too. But just the overall enjoyment in the brand of basketball the Pacers brought. And I know I say this flippantly, and maybe I don't altogether agree with it, but I do bring up the conspiracy theory of the NBA draft lottery that's going to be held coming up at 3 o'clock a week from Sunday on Mother's Day. And I do say that in joking fashion. However, the NBA, to me, would seem a hell of a lot more enjoyable, making sure if you're going to load something up, making sure the Pacers get that 1 through 4 right there. That's some compelling basketball. And that's something that's certainly been missing in this postseason so far. Again, early stages, round number 1. But you point the finger at the really exciting basketball, even with the 1 seed in peril right now in the East, other than the Knicks and the Hawks, I don't know what you have. I mean, yeah, you're going to say, well, the Raptors and the Cavaliers, they're tied at 2 games apiece, but that series has been terrible too. Pretty easy to understand the dynamic that is missing right here, is it not? Morgan Wallen tickets. Not now, but coming up a little bit later on before the end of the show. You guys hang tight. So, James, have we decided whether or not we're going to do this on the phones or do this on the text line?
I think we said yesterday, since we did it on the text line, we'll do it today on the phones.
I don't know if that means anything, though. Does it?
Yeah,
Does that mean
true.
we do it?
We can do it however you want to do it, John.
Well, and we will. Don't get me wrong, but I always will consider, at least for a moment, a fleeting moment, the input of others. Phones or text line, what would be more entertaining? Because these are incredibly popular tickets.
Now, if we do it on the text line, you can watch the text line blow up. We do have a limited number of phone lines available, so more people have a shot at it if we do it over the text line.
I would agree. So you guys tell me, we give more people an opportunity on the text line than the phone. Should we stick with the text line? And we normally go with the number 30. Should we go with a different number? We could do that too. I don't know one note of a Morgan Wallen song. And I'm not begrudging anybody who absolutely loves it, because clearly people are loving it.
I will say, just as proof as how popular these tickets are, I think you said the name Morgan Wallen and people just started calling in immediately.
Clark says phone. Morgan Wallen, last time he was here, and he does that walkout to his show on stage, and it was Tyrese Halliburton with him.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, by the way, did you look up that stat for the number 0?
Oh, yeah. The
and the Achilles injuries?
Oh, yeah.
So we had Halliburton.
Mm-hmm.
We had Tatum.
Yep.
We had Lillard.
Yep.
And then we had DiVincenzo.
Oh, yeah.
That's incredible.
All 4.
That is incredible. Jason E. says Morgan Wallen sings 20 cigarettes. Uh-oh. This catches our interest right here. JMV, Morgan Wallen is full of hotties. All right. Among not just country music acts out there, but does Morgan Wallen pack in the hotties more than anybody else? I don't know.
I wouldn't know either.
See, and that used to be something because everybody used to make fun of Nickelback, but when Nickelback went out to Ruoff, from what I was told, I never went or attended, but it was packed with hotties. Morgan Wallen brings the ladies. Is that what your guys are saying right now?
That would not surprise me, honestly.
Quick break, we'll come back. Morgan Wallen tickets yet to be decided in what measures and means we'll take to get you guys the tickets. Either the phones or the text line, one of the two coming up before the end of the show. I mentioned Chad Buchanan is going to join us, the Pacers general manager. That is coming up on tomorrow's show, and we're going to be live at Legends coming up on Thursday, the fan golf outing presented by Franciscan Health, eating, drinking, golfing, and shooting with me. Caden Curry's going to join us. I don't think he's going to be there live, even though it'd be easy for him, I think, to drive to Franklin if he wanted to. Caden Curry is going to join us coming up on Thursday. A great local story from the former Center Grove standout. Caden Curry. Caden Curry was a 6-round selection, 214, coached up by our good friend Eric Moore, which is awesome. Caden joins us on the show coming up on Thursday, and I mentioned Friday, too, at the shop in Carmel. That's off of Rangeline Road. And since we're going to open up the month of May officially at the shop in Carmel with Brian and Alex, we're going to have great deals on all of their month of May stuff. All of their shirts, some old school JMV Sucks Carb Day shirts, too. Now we'll talk about the 2026 shirts that are being produced right now that will go on sale coming out on Carb Day itself. But you can join us at Rangeline Road. We're going to be in Carmel coming up on Friday with the shop and Connor Daly signing autographs after the show. So that is a location where you want to make sure you can be a part of it too. Quick break, we'll come back. Morgan Wallen, before the end of the show, your chance to win those tickets. Don't go anywhere, too. Thank you for joining us, the Hensley Legal Group Command Center. It happens. Hire Hensley, the AAA membership lounge via YouTube Live. That is Matt Goins, the president of AAA. Become a AAA member today and be a part of the enjoyment of our AAA membership lounge via YouTube Live. It's 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Ah, man, I love the District Tap, the great food. Actually, we describe it as damn good food. Here's what the District Tap has. Clearwater Crossing, Northside, and in downtown Indy. It has a little bit of everything for everybody. For example, if you're eating the damn good food, if you feel like having a beverage or two and you want to save, the happy hour specials unmatched. But they have the entertainment for you. They have TVs, so you're not going to miss anything. Maybe you're watching. Maybe you're down with the NBA postseason. You can catch it. Stanley Cup playoffs, you can catch it. Whatever is going on, you can watch it because there are TVs everywhere for the District Tap. 2 locations, downtown and at Clearwater Crossing. Plus, on the weekends, they have the live music. And don't forget about this, if you're throwing a party. Private party, maybe it's an office party. They have the office space for you. Not to mention one final thing. You guys may be having a big-time graduation party. The District Tap will cater your event with their damn good food. 2 locations, Clearwater Crossing and in downtown Indy. And a shout out to Michael at the District Tap. Tell them that I sent you today. And for more information online, thedistricttap.com. Hanging out outside is a priority. Temperatures warmer. You love being out there. You love the look of it. But maybe you're sick and tired of dealing with that outdoor living space, meaning staining and painting your deck each and every year. That is a pain. Hey, go pain-free here with Ron and my friends at Premier Deck Coating. Virtually any color. Here's what's awesome about Premier Deck Coating on your back deck. For example, here where you hang out, it helps repel moisture, adds scratch resistancy, and the curb appeal will make your neighbors and your friends jealous. It is awesome, and it comes with a 10-year warranty. Get that free quote today from Ron and Premier Deck Coating, 317-696-4071. Maybe it's a deck, a pergola, an outbuilding like I have right here, a fence, just making your property look incredible. That is Premier Deck Coating. Ron and the free quote today, 317-696-4071. Customize your living space the way you want it to look with Premier Deck Coating. 317-696-4071. That's premierdeckcoating.com.
The Ride with JMV.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
No, I love this song right here. I think I want to keep this thing up. Herb Alpert and Rise. You know what? Popular 90s hip-hop song from the late Notorious B.I.G. samples this song. God, I love this song. This is about as smooth as it gets right here. Hypnotize. Notorious B.I.G. DJ Skids, by the way, has a mini mix that has this song into Hypnotize. It's outstanding. JMV, my wife loves Ella Langley. Who is that?
I'm not actually sure.
And it's our anniversary today, so let me get those tickets. Ella Langley, I'm assuming Ella Langley opens up for Morgan Wallen. I know I probably should get on board a little bit more with the new era of country music artists. I'm still living back there with Alabama and Merle Haggard and the Oak Ridge Boys. True story.
She is a country artist, so I'm assuming she opens for Morgan Wallen.
All right. Shout out to Ella Langley. JMV, Rick and Pendleton wants to be selected because he's recovering from a kidney stone, man. I've been there and done that, brother. And they've had to take a whole quarry out of me. Seriously. They've had to do it a variety of ways, too. Yeah, they couldn't get it with the old laser. So they had to go dig it out by filleting me, basically. But this is back in 1986, so I'm sure different measures. But the worst was what is called the basket surgery. And fellas, if you don't want to cringe, don't look that up. If you wonder why that I'm scarred for life, that's because I'm 16 years old and had basket surgery. You know, you ever play the game Operation? Think about Operation with the basket surgery right there. My nose was blinking red. No wonder I'm scarred. They had to go out and find the tiniest instruments of all time.
Yeah, you were kidding. I just looked up what that was.
That's not good.
That's a terrifying thing
it
to
is
read.
Good. I mean, think about the little bitty instruments they had to use in that operation.
Did they put you under for that?
I was under as hell.
Oh.
I think I was under for about a week.
Thank God.
Yeah. Under for a week. I didn't even know what it meant until they came in and there's so many things that were scarring at such a young age about that. I mean, the surgery itself was bad enough, but the prep for surgery, because I actually was awake during that.
The prep for it was
bad?
bad?
That was, yeah.
Oh, I don't even know if I want to imagine what that's like.
You don't want to. You don't want it. Fellas don't want it. Sorry about that. JMV, I'm cooking dinner for the kids and streaming, which is delayed from the radio. How in the hell can I win Morgan Wallen tickets to take my daughter behind the 8 ball? That's Jeff in Zionsville. Yeah, kidney stones are brutal. JMV, did you not say you developed kidney stones from drinking in excess Big Red, the soft drink? That's what I blame it on. I drank way too much of that too early. And then I found out my high school coach said, quote, "You're out of shape," because I was bent over in the locker room, but instead I passed a kidney stone during halftime of a game versus Shakamak. So yeah, maybe I was feeling a little bit out of shape. And then I thought, well, wait a minute, what's going on here? Is it an STD? Well, you haven't even done that yet. No wonder I'm scarred. JMV, the cure for no Pacers basketball would be the Stanley Cup playoffs. And I would agree with that. I enjoy it, but it is sometimes can be a tough sell. I'll give you a great example. Rob Ray, the former Sabre and the Sabre broadcaster, was on the show on Friday. And he was awesome because I thought he made it easy for you to enjoy the conversation without really intimately knowing that level of hockey. And believe me, I don't either. Like, I still kind of learn what's going on. But I would agree with you. It has been fun. And it's weird because you're coming off of last year when it was, I mean, hell, we worked in the month of May and racing and things, but it was almost even. But certainly in the Pacers, it was a conversation every single day because their run was so incredibly compelling. Just so many great moments. And that's lost in the shuffle too. Jamie says, do phones and make them sing a song. Yeah. We'd like to keep people around for this bad boy right here. Digler writes this, JMV, the recent Billy Idol documentary on Hulu was really good. Check out Billy Idol Should Be Dead on Hulu. Remember Billy Idol, since we're getting closer and closer to Carb Day, which is going to be Switchfoot, and they will open up for Adam Duritz and Counting Crows. Remember last year, they were that close to getting Billy Idol. I think Billy Idol bailed at the last minute. He was supposed to be out there, and he bailed. It's so true. JMV, I get your point regarding the Pacers, but I don't, much like you, believe that they are going to end up fixing the lottery to help them out. No, I'm just joking about that. That just kind of coincides with my point that I was making after watching the NBA postseason. At this point, what is massively missed would be the Pacers and whether they were winning a game on a last-second shot. Just their style of play was so compelling round after round. It was must-see TV. And this so far hasn't been. It just hasn't. Now, 3 games coming up later on tonight. A couple opportunities for closeouts in Boston and then one in San Antonio. And maybe the one that we like the most because you root for the Knicks to lose would be the Hawks and the Knicks from Madison Square Garden. And that best of 7 is tied at 2 games apiece. Suns moving on last night. How about the Pistons being on the brink? And while that should be wildly and spectacularly interesting, it's not because the brand of basketball has been terrible. But the Magic, the 8 seed up 3-1 in that best of 7. The Major League Baseball later on tonight. Morgan Wallen tickets coming up too. Ella Langley evidently is a smoke show. Is this correct? I'm being told here.
She's pretty attractive.
Ella Langley, smoke show. And that is, and listen, JY, who sent me this, hangs out with Laurel, and JY would know what a smoke show is all about. Hey, by the way, too, I didn't want to get to this before we get to the break and close out the show on the other side. JMV Takeover back with you coming up on Saturday. I wanted to give a shout-out again to our good friend Steve Simonson. Steve, his birthday celebration was going on this weekend, and I love the fact that he was in Cape Girardeau, Missouri for a volleyball tournament and heard about us talking up his birthday on the show from you guys. That's great. People love that stuff, and I appreciate you guys doing that. And shout out to Steve for celebrating the birthday over the weekend, I guess, at a volleyball tournament in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Hey, 2, as we hit a break, Vermont, Texas, Chicago, Illinois, South Dakota, Southern California, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Florida. Out-of-state calls that we received as requests for the JMV Takeover on the All Request Saturday night. That is awesome to not only see, but to hear as well. The Hensley Legal Group Command Center. It happens. Hire Hensley. That is us, what we're doing on this Tuesday. We'll come back, give you a chance to win. Coming up on the other side, we'll revisit a very busy show and set you up for tomorrow with Blue and Gold conversation with the Pacers general manager, Chad Buchanan, making that appearance on the show coming up tomorrow. Stream the app, HD Radio, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Hey, John here for the best in realty. Mark Dietel Realty, 317-755-4232. That's markdietel.com, Mark, DIETEL.com today. So situations as we now approach the month of May, and you're going to have on the inbound graduations. Maybe it's high school, maybe it's college, and some decisions may end up being made about the future of where you live right now because you may not need all that space, and they call it empty nesting for a reason. And if you don't and you realize you want to do something about it, I tell you, the best to go with because of the situation is Mark Dietel. Mark Dietel Realty. If you're downsizing or maybe if you're doing something else and growing the family, Mark Dietel is the only real estate expert I trust and recommend with the sale of my home. Mark Dietel guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline or he will buy it. Pick your move date. No long-term contracts, and you can cancel at any time. The versatility of the best in realty is what you're looking for, whether you're doing it right now or thinking about doing it in the future. Make sure that you have this number handy, Mark Dietel Realty, 317-755-4232. That's markdietel.com, Mark, DIETEL.com today.
The Ride with JMV.
Well, we're waiting.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
All right, here it goes. You want to try 40? Because we had somebody wanting more of a puncher's chance at this. Number 40 on the text line, 317-239-1070. Morgan Wallen, Lucas Oil Stadium, a week from Friday. Number 40 on the text line. Number 40 is going to go. So let's fire that up. I want to see you guys in action. I want to see this thing go to work right here. It is absolutely incredible. I think we could do probably 240 at this rate. That's incredible right there. Morgan Wallen, Lucas Oil Stadium, a week from Friday. Number 40 on the text line at 317-239-1070. And again, thank you all for listening. And here's something. I always want to say this. You're not allowed, if you don't win, to get pissed off at the host, okay? You're not allowed. Because it is chance. And hopefully you'll win it. And a shout out to our friends of Live Nation, too. Some great shows coming up. Actually, I believe Friday and Saturday at the Murao National Center. And I looked up the set list, and obviously it is going to have a significant Talking Heads influence. And it should. David Byrne, the lead of Talking Heads, will also have his own original material. And you can go to the bathroom during that. But he'll also do the Talking Heads. It's back-to-back nights. I've been trying to find a way to get over there on Friday night to see it. I have never seen the Talking Heads nor David Byrne but one of my favorites, certainly of the 1980s, those are going to be fantastic back-to-back nights at the Murat Old National Center. Shout out to everybody over there for putting that together. In fact, you can look at those two back-to-back nights, Friday and Saturday at the Murat for David Byrne. I don't think I saw on his set list. I know a lot of you guys don't like to hear me talk about set lists. You want to be surprised. I didn't see My Girlfriend's Better Than Yours. That's disappointing. But Road to Nowhere, I don't think I saw that on there either. But a lot of the Talking Heads favorites, and then a lot of his own stuff. He'll go art house on you a little bit. And, again, you may like that. Or if you're like me, if you have a small bladder, that's when you go to the bathroom. Wait a minute.
You got to plan these things out.
Here's some of my original stuff. I go, all right, I got to go to the bathroom.
It's all about tactical bathroom breaks.
Well, and nothing against him. He's an absolute musical genius, but I don't give a damn about his original stuff. And I know that he was involved with the stuff that I love, but I think about that when I saw Van Halen with Matt Taylor going back years ago. As soon as they came out and they said, hey, here's something from our new album, Tattoo, I go, yeah, I'm out. No, anyway, it's not Van Halen 1. It's not Women and Children First. It's not Fair Warning. It's not Diver Down. It's not 1984. Okay, I'm going to the bathroom. The Fever. Why did they do this? The Fever exercised Caitlin Clark's 4-year option. Why? Yeah, it's funny. I think this is comparable right here. The impact Caitlin Clark has had, not just on the Fever and interest, but the interest of women's basketball and the WNBA. What is that without Caitlin Clark? It's kind of like me and what I've done to Goodwill. I think these are comparable here. I mentioned Goodwill, and now you guys, it is incredible. You mentioned Caitlin Clark. You can just hashtag Caitlin Clark, mention Caitlin Clark anywhere on social media, and people are going to go crazy over that. It's incredible. Now, the Fever exercised Caitlin Clark's 4th-year option in shockingly dramatic fashion. Morgan Wallen tickets. We'll do it again tomorrow. You guys are digging on that. Thank you guys for listening. Oh, is Fulton there? I didn't get to Fulton. Hey, Fulton, I got about 15 seconds. You can call again tomorrow. Go ahead. 15 seconds.
Yeah, that's fine. I just got baptized, John.
I know you did. I want you to spend more time on that. Can you call back tomorrow?
I could call back tomorrow at 5:30 again.
You got it, buddy. Thank you, Fulton. Got baptized in Tennessee over the weekend. We love Fulton. Sorry about that. James, great job out of you. Rhett Lewis, Ben Solak, Greg Rakestraw, podcast 1075thefan.com. Chad Buchanan, general manager of the Pacers. It's tomorrow. Don't miss a second. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Have a great night.